Chapter 553. In the plantation outside the Thug Academy, after nearly a year of nourishment, the vegetation was more flourishing and the plants seemed to have doubled in size. Around the plantation were rows of golden wheat. However, the wheat was as thick and full as corn bundles. Han Fei felt that as long as he cut one, he could make a dumpling. The effect of the spirit-gathering formation was reflected, and this was only the effect of the spirit-gathering formation set up by Han Fei himself. If it were the effect of the spirit-gathering formation on the dragon boat, the spiritual energy here would be so rich that water would drip out. Han Fei asked, "Are Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan here?" When Ren Yu said lightly, they went to the arena. Xia Xiaochan was surprised. "Haven't they finished yet?" Hearing Xia Xiaochan's words, Wen Ren Yu's face suddenly turned black. There are only two of them, so they can only play a single match, which is more difficult. Han Fei had no interest in fighting in the arena. He asked curiously, "Ms. Wenren, why did we come back to fight? We've fought enough in the level 3 fishery." Wenren Yu snorted. "It's simple this time. Just a formality. But in the level 3 fishery, you really caused a lot of trouble, and your junior uncle Faceless had to clean up your mess." Han Fei bared his teeth. "Junior uncle Faceless robbed us of 5 billion. Oh, no, 7 billion. When Ren Yu paused and exclaimed in disbelief, "How much?" Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan looked at each other. 7 billion. Bam! Han Fei turned into a perfect arc and flew into the school. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, who happened to come back, saw this scene from a distance. Chu Jinan was stunned. "Well, is that senior brother Han Fei?" Ling Yuan swallowed and nodded. "It seems to be. No. It must be him." Bam! Han Fei, who had just flown into the school, turned into a perfect arc and flew out of the school. Seeing Wenren use fishing rod again, Han Fei was furious. "Hey! Do you think you are a teacher? Are you playing ping pong?" Han Fei was pulled into the school again. This time, he didn't fly out, but Xia Xiaochan ran away as soon as she saw this scene. While running, Xia Xiaochan stuck out her tongue and shouted, "It's none of my business. I'm innocent." Humph! Inside the school, Han Fei was hanging upside down on a tree and said angrily, "Old Bai, that's too much. We're family. If you're so capable, ask Uncle Master Faceless for it. Why are you venting your anger on me?" Old Bai was standing in front of Han Fei, his eyes full of ferocity. "If that bastard Faceless gave us money, would our school be so poor?" Han Fei was stunned. "Well, no. Isn't Junior Uncle Faceless from the Thug Academy? Isn't it his duty to contribute to the school?" It was unknown when Xiao Zhan had appeared. He chuckled and said, "That guy naturally has a use for money. However, giving it all to him is indeed too much. Even if it's Martial Uncle, you haven't seen him before. Can't you be more careful?" Han Fei said angrily, "It's not your fault. He didn't give anything, not even the protective amulet or the immortal seal. Then shouldn't we buy it? Isn't it all money if we buy it?" Han Fei jumped off the tree and asked curiously, "Why does Junior Uncle Faceless need so much money? Why didn't he acknowledge us as soon as possible? If Xiao Bai hadn't guessed it, he wouldn't have told us." Old Bai snorted. "It's none of your business. However, you didn't lose anything. Faceless gave you a lot of benefits." Han Fei was puzzled. "The immortal seal? 1 immortal seal per person. Is it worth so much money?" Old Bai squinted at Han Fei. "Didn't he give you spirit awakening fluid?" Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "He did. A total of 3,315 caddies. I clearly remember that we exchanged for it with money." Xiao Zhan patted Han Fei on the shoulder. "You can't exchange for spirit awakening fluid with money. Han Fei." Xia Xiaochan emerged from the tree at this moment. "Are you done fighting? If not, I'll come out." Le Renquang, Zhang Xuanyu, and Luo Xiaobai ran over from the depths of the school. Lu Renkuang said, "You're finally back." Han Fei was stunned. "Wait, why are you so fast? You're all back." Han Fei heard from Wenren Yu that Old Bai went to pick up Zhang Xuanyu and Luo Xiaobai. "Wasn't it too fast?" Luo Xiaobai said lightly, "We came back at night." Zhang Xuanyu smiled and said, "Fei Fei, I heard that you too." Zhang Xuanyu blinked at Han Fei and was kicked away by Han Fei. "Get lost. Don't talk nonsense all day." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also ran back with Wenren Yu. Seeing Han Fei, they hurriedly said, "Senior brother, senior sister." Han Fei looked back. "You're already an advanced great fishing master." Chu Jinan nodded. "Thank you, senior brother Han Fei, for your previous teaching." Han Fei waved his hand. "It has nothing to do with me. It's your own hard work." Han Fei waved his hand again. "Don't be so polite. Don't be so polite to me, senior brother. Come, I've brought you a gift this time." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan looked at each other. "Gifts?" With that, Han Fei put his arm around Chu Jinan and said, "Let's go. I'll take you to the mountain to have a look." Old Bai said leisurely, "Starting from tomorrow morning, all of you will have lessons. Get ready. It's time for lunch." "I heard that the yellow-blooded sea cucumber tastes good." Han Fei, after returning to school, everyone immediately relaxed, and the word, comfortable, filled everyone's heart. Han Fei, Lu Renkuang, Chu Jinan, and Ling Yuan were working in the open-air kitchen. Han Fei didn't experiment and threw dozens of low-quality spiritual weapons to Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. For Han Fei, low-quality spiritual weapons were not valuable, but that was relative. After all, there were many people in the level 3 fishery who still used magic weapons. Han Fei felt that he was much more generous than Old Bai and the others. When he went to the level 3 fishery, he took out a few sea-swallowing seashells and a few low-quality spiritual weapons. At this moment, Han Fei said, "Today, I came up with a new dish, called Big Fish Head with Diced Peppers." Lu Renkuang immediately put down his work. "Innovation? Let me have a look." Xia Shaochan said, "I'll eat whatever you make." "Whatever. By the way, isn't it a bit unfair for us to participate in the 36-town exchange competition now?" Everyone was called back temporarily, obviously to deal with this competition, but even Han Fei didn't understand why they had to participate in this competition. In the past, when they heard Old Bai and the others brag that the Thug Academy had swept the 36 towns and defeated the 1,000-star city, they only thought it was awesome. But now, they had defeated the people from the 1,000-star city, robbed the dragon boats, and defeated the hanging fishers. Couldn't they even defeat the students from the same academy? Luo Xiaobai nodded. It shouldn't be as simple as a competition. Of course it's not that simple. Xiao Zhan had walked over at some point, leaned in front of Han Fei, looked at the fish head, and then said, "This kind of exchange competition is naturally not difficult for you now. But this competition is the key to leading to the unknown place." Huh? Even Han Fei couldn't help but put down his knife. "Leading to the unknown place?" Luo Xiaobai asked, "Can we go there if we win?" Xiao Zhan shook his head. To be precise, 80% of those who participate in the competition can go to the unknown place. Han Fei was speechless. Then why do we have to compete? Since everyone is going there, let's just go there. Xiao Zhan smiled and said, "Which one do you want to be?" Han Fei didn't even think about it. "Of course, I want to be the boss. How nice it is to be treated." Xiao Zhan said, "So, the strength of the ranking has something to do with what position you will be in after you go there. Do you still think this competition is meaningless?" Xia Shaochan asked, "Are there different levels of identities in the unknown place?" Lu Renkuang nodded. "Yes, why doesn't it sound good?" Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Teacher, what is this unknown place? Can you reveal it in advance?" Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also pricked up their ears. They hadn't even been to the level 3 fishery yet, let alone the unknown place. However, everyone was curious. They had always heard of the reputation of the unknown place, but they hadn't heard any rumors about it. How annoying was that? Xiao Zhan smiled and said, "What's the hurry? Do you think you can go there just because you want to? The competition won't start until a month later, so we will start classes tomorrow. The process of the competition may be a bit boring, but you can just take it as a tour. After the competition, you need to improve your strength as much as possible. So, there is still about half a year of class time. After that, we will go there together." Xiao Zhan finally revealed the truth to everyone. The real purpose of the competition was to get a better identity. What kind of identity? Why did the heavenly talents of the 36 towns need to compete for it? First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 554. After a year, sleeping in the treehouse again made Han Fei feel extremely comfortable. As the saying went, it was good to sleep for a while. Except for Luo Xiaobai, Han Fei, and the others were all dragged out of the treehouse by Xiao Zhan. Besides, the way Xiao Zhan and the others taught Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan was different from that of Han Fei and the others. At this moment, Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were sitting on the grass with them, listening to Xiao Zhan's lecture. Xiao Zhan said, "Do you know why we haven't taught you any standardized lessons since you entered the Thug Academy?" Han Fei muttered, "Because we're lazy." Xiao Zhan said seriously, "Han Fei, stand up and listen to the lecture. Don't smile at me." Han Fei. Among the 6 of them, it was too easy to catch a bad student. Han Fei was the one who stood out. Everyone else was sitting, but he was standing. Xiao Zhan continued with satisfaction, "It stands to reason that the meaning of the existence of schools and teachers is to preach, teach, and solve doubts. However, you are not ordinary people. According to this teaching method, sooner or later, you will be led astray. So, we are just guiding you to explore, gain experience, fight, comprehend. Finally, we will help you summarize and integrate." Xiao Zhan rambled for a while before he said leisurely, "For now, your cultivation path is bumpy but also smooth. Before you went to the level 3 fishery, I discussed with Ms. Wenren and the principal whether we should give you enough shelter. If we gave you shelter, you wouldn't die easily, but you might lose the heart of enterprise and think that I won't die anyway. As you can see, this is why the 7 major sects of the 1,000-star city are being pushed to the bottom of the sea by you." Zhang Xuanyu said, "Teacher, you are too careless. I was caught as soon as I entered the level 3 fishery. If I hadn't been smart, I wouldn't have been able to come back." Xiao Zhan glanced at him coldly. "Zhang Xuanyu, stand up and listen to the lecture. Don't interrupt in class, okay?" "Zhang Xuanyu." Han Fei couldn't help but cast a comforting look at him. Xiao Zhan sneered. "We don't lack combat skills, and now you don't lack any. However, have you realized that there's something wrong with combat skills?" When it came to the Q&A session, Luo Xiaobai answered first, "There are too many people in the level 3 fishery and too many strange combat skills. But most of them can only catch people off guard at the beginning, but the second time they use it, it's very easy for others to break it." Xia Shaochan also replied, "As long as you are strong enough, it doesn't matter what combat skills you have." Han Fei added, "I found that as long as the level of a combat skill is high enough, it can be very strong." Xiao Zhan flicked his fishing rod and hooked a stone weighing dozens of tons out of nowhere. He smashed it at Han Fei's head. "Carry it and listen to the class." Han Fei was lost for words. "No, Master, you are obviously targeting me." Zhang Xuanyu kept his mouth shut and tried not to say a word. He did not want to listen to the lecture while carrying a boulder that weighed over 5,000 kilograms. That would be rather embarrassing. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan couldn't help but move a little away from Han Fei, for fear that Han Fei would throw the stone down and hit them on the head. Xiao Zhan's eyes almost stared at Han Fei's face. "Let me tell you, when you were a dangling fisher, you still felt that it didn't matter whether you practiced combat skills or not. However, since you have dealt with people from the Thousand-Star City, you must have found that most of these people only practice targeted combat skills. Many good combat skills will be constantly abandoned in the process of growth until you find a combat skill that suits you. Lu Renquang nodded. Yes, I found that my sky-swallowing technique is not bad. This combat skill suits me. Xiao Zhan kicked at him. Stand up and listen to the class. Ha, you are an armorist. Have you mastered the art of armories? Your sky-swallowing technique, if you encounter a nimble hunter like Xia Shaochan, will be pierced by you just by standing there. Now, Han Fei had one more friend. Lu Renquang said weakly, doesn't it mean that we have practiced so many combat skills in vain? Xiao Zhan shook his head. Of course not. When you are still a dangling fisher, the more combat skills you have, the better. As long as you can master them, you can eat as much as you want until you can't take it anymore. However, the more you practice, the more you have to start simplifying to the point that one technique can break all other techniques. Zhang Xuanyu muttered, Teacher, how can it be so simple? This is the path I am taking. I haven't figured out how to continue to evolve the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea. Xiao Zhan sneered. That's because you have dabbled in too few combat skills. 9 is an extreme number. Why don't you try combining them? Zhang Xuanyu said, I have tried. After combining them, whether it is endurance or power, it is not as good as the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea. Xiao Zhan nodded. Starting tomorrow, you will fight with me. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes lit up. Okay. Han Fei's eyes also lit up. Teacher, what about me? Do you think I can return to one? I have saber techniques and fist techniques. Do you think I can create a fist saber? Luo Xiaobai and the others couldn't help turning their heads, because another boulder flew over. Xiao Zhan was speechless. Why don't you go to heaven? Fist is fist, knife is knife. You are a body cultivator, so you should learn more close combat skills. You just need to comprehend the same type of combat skills to the best. Don't think about these things all day long. Xiao Zhan pointed out. Don't think we don't know what you did in the level 3 fishery. Now I will call your names one by one. After that, report to the principal or teacher Wenren one by one. The principal said, first of all, Han Fei. You have the strongest physique, so you should take the path of toughness. But considering that you are also a spirit gatherer, it is reasonable for you to practice knife and sword techniques. But you are too impetuous and haven't refined any of your combat skills. Although you are not weak, you are not the strongest. Now you seem to be very strong, so strong that no one seems to be your opponent. But if you don't change, one day you will pay the price. Okay, reflect on it for an hour and then report to the principal. Han Fei, then Xiao Zhan commented on them one by one. Lu Renquang, your physique is not weak and you have a lot of combat skills, but your path is narrow. An armorist should be the one who can fight the best among all of us, but you are not. You lack the ability of close combat. Report to me in half a month. In this half a month, go to the library and find 5 armorist close combat skills to learn. Zhang Xuanyu, your attack is too simple. You have integrated all the combat skills of a soul warrior into your self-created combat skills, but it has not reached the effect of 1 + 1 = 2, which shows that your deduction is not firm enough. Also, your soul power is not enough and you lack the means of attack. Come to me tomorrow. Xia Shaochan, your specialty is speed. In terms of speed, you are the fastest here. It stands to reason that your attack is not weak, your reaction is fast, and your stealth effect is good. However, you lack an extremely explosive offensive combat skill. Therefore, when you encounter a real top genius or a physique-refining genius like Han Fei, your attack will be inadequate. Later, report to Ms. Wenrenyu. Luo Xiaobai, your talent lies in calmness and strong judgment. You have an advantage in team battles and can easily control the overall situation. However, when you're fighting alone, you lack effective means of combat. You can only rely on the element of surprise from spirit plants. Once someone is not afraid of this, you will be in great danger. Later, go with Xia Xiaochan to find Ms. Wenrenyu. When Xiao Zhan was commenting, he spoke very fast, which surprised Han Fei. He hadn't seen them for a year, but Xiao Zhan could easily comment on their strengths and weaknesses. Did this old guy secretly go to the level 3 fishery to take a look? Xiao Zhan also added, speaking of this, I'd like to comment on Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan. First of all, Ling Yuan is an armorist completely different from Lu Renkuang's. However, Ling Yuan's armoring skills are too complicated and she hasn't found a direction yet. From now on, you will fight with Lu Renkuang for 6 hours every day. You are not allowed to eat for 1 minute less. By the way, Chu Jinnan, you're too naive. You're too kind. Absolutely not. You have to learn from Han Fei. When you can be as shameless as him, you can become an apprentice. Puff! Han Fei yelled, Teacher, that's too much, isn't it? I'm not scheming, I'm simple. Don't add more stones, or I won't be able to bear it. Xiao Zhan nodded with satisfaction. Yes, remember, teach your junior brother well. You are more experienced in this aspect. Also, you have to stimulate his fierceness. Chu Jinnan was dumbfounded. Is this lesson so original? Second. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 555. The class didn't last long. As Xiao Zhan said, he guided the students and then let them comprehend it by themselves. Before leaving, he told Han Fei, stand for an hour. Lu Renkuang threw the stone at Han Fei and ran to the library, saying that he was going to study the close combat armor art. Xia Xiaochan and Luo Xiaobai went to find Wenrenyu. It was estimated that they would have to fight later. Zhang Xuanyu, this bastard, ran away with Xiao Zhan without waiting for tomorrow, saying that he wanted to discuss the unity combat method. Only Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan didn't make any arrangements. The two of them had just returned from the arena in the morning, so they didn't know whether to leave or stay. Just when the two of them exchanged glances and were about to slip away, Han Fei said leisurely, Chu Jinnan. Chu Jinnan quickly straightened his body. Yes, senior brother. Han Fei asked, did you win or lose the fight today? Chu Jinnan quickly said, I won. Han Fei raised his eyelids. Oh. How many games have you won? Chu Jinnan nodded. I won the 68th game. Han Fei looked at Ling Yuan. What about you? Ling Yuan was stunned for a moment and then said, Senior brother Han Fei, I've just won the 68th game, just like him. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Well, do you know where the hexagon starfish is? Ling Yuan said, it is in Mr. Xiao Zhan's bull conch pit. Han Fei was taken aback. No wonder I haven't seen it yet. What is it doing in the bull conch pit? Ling Yuan was a little puzzled. It seems to be making friends with the bull conches. Han Fei was speechless. Why did this guy make friends with food? Han Fei nodded and suddenly said, let me ask you too. Do you know why you have only won 68 games so far? Ling Yuan said, because the opponents often change, and we need to deal with all kinds of means carefully. Han Fei shook his head. No, Chu Jinnan, tell me. Chu Jinnan thought to himself, my answer is similar to Ling Yuan's. However, since senior brother asked this question, he must want me to give a different answer. According to Mr. Xiao Zhan's analysis, senior brother Han Fei was very shameless, so complimenting him should be a good choice. Chu Jinnan immediately said, because we are not as good as you. Ugh! Han Fei blushed and thought to himself, why is this kid always telling the truth? Han Fei frowned. No, it's because you're not under enough pressure. Do you know? With pressure, there would be motivation. Only with motivation would one focus on research and exploration, and only then would one become outstanding. Do you think senior brother is right? Chu Jinan thought for a long time and glanced at Ling Yuan. Right, right? Han Fei said happily, okay, stand still. I'll give you a little pressure. Catch. As a result, Chu Jinan inexplicably carried a big stone weighing tens of thousands of kilograms on his shoulder, looking dumbfounded. Was this the so-called pressure? Ling Yuan cursed inwardly, he's really shameless and only knows how to fool people. Before Ling Yuan slipped away, Han Fei said seriously, Ling Yuan, do you know Xiang Zuozhua from the First Academy? Ling Yuan nodded awkwardly. I know. Han Fei asked, do you have the confidence to surpass her? Ling Yuan nodded. Of course, I will definitely surpass her. Han Fei praised, good, you're ambitious. But that woman is very strong, while your strength is very little now. I'm going to exercise you. Catch. Ling Yuan. In the blink of an eye, Ling Yuan also carried a big stone on her head, weighing tens of thousands of kilograms. Was it heavy? Of course it was. When Han Fei was an advanced great fishing master, he could only lift 20,000 kilograms. If he tried his best, he could probably lift 30,000 kilograms. If he kept lifting it for an hour, he would definitely have back pain and leg cramps. When Han Fei carried 2 stones on his head, he was very relaxed. Carrying a stone, he said, well. Not bad, it seems that your physique has really caught up. Huh? Why are you sweating? Is it because the stone is too heavy? Ling Yuan rolled her eyes. Don't you know why you're sweating? Han Fei said, today we're just trying it a little. Come on, run with me. Let's carry the stone back to the mountain. Pooh, as his junior brother and junior sister, what could they say? Just run. But it was very stressful to run. Carry a stone weighing 10,000 kilograms and run. Only someone with a hole in their head would do that. Just now, their teacher caught it. After running for only 2 steps, Han Fei suddenly turned around, his face changed, and he said fiercely, you can still run? You have to do your best, understand? Come on, add another stone. In the past, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were too weak, and Han Fei was afraid that he would accidentally injure these 2 little guys. Now, the 2 of them were not weak, and Han Fei felt that carrying 2 stones shouldn't be a big problem. Han Fei said, remember to carry it every day. Carry it around the school every day. I promise you that in the future, you will be able to beat people as easily as beating stones. Then Han Fei called out the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. Follow them. Whoever puts down the stone within an hour, beat him. After a year of growth, Chu Jinnan's physique was no weaker than Ling Yuan's, and even a bit stronger. But at this moment, the 2 of them couldn't run anymore and could only move forward step by step on the ground. They were all speechless. There were still more than 20 kilometers to go to the mountain. At this speed, it would take them more than an hour to get there. But Han Fei didn't care. While chewing potato chips, he walked towards Xiao Zhan's hut. In the bull conch pit, there was mud everywhere. There were 6 big shiny gem-like eyeballs, enjoying the bull conch's massage comfortably. Yes, the bull conch was not small, and because of its habit of rolling, it would always make the mud pit full of potholes. At this moment, there were 6 bull conches grinding on the 6 tentacles of the hexagon starfish. Han Fei was stunned. Master Hexagon, are you massaging me? When the hexagon starfish saw Han Fei, it shivered, shook its tentacles, and threw out a bull conch. A mass of water popped out in front of Han Fei's eyes, and the bull conch was cleaned. It was just the right dish to go with wine that night. The hexagon starfish's big eyes rolled. You're back. Han Fei smiled weirdly. Of course. Do you think I won't come back? The hexagon starfish shrugged. No, I think I live quite well here. If you have something to do, just go ahead. Han Fei smiled. I'm fine. I just came to see you. By the way, I'm going to study arrays later. Just stay here for a while and wait for me to come to you. Han Fei had always felt that the hexagon starfish had extraordinary talent in arrays. It was just that this guy might be lazy, so he didn't like to use them. For example, killing arrays. Did he really not know how to use them? Not necessarily. It was just that the hexagon starfish didn't like fighting. Han Fei had made up his mind to study the spirit-gathering scripture carefully from beginning to end. Of course, he needed the help of this big starfish. 1 hour later. Han Fei found Old Bai. President, I'm here to report. Old Bai tilted his eyes and glanced at Han Fei. Show me your strongest combat skills. Han Fei didn't expect Old Bai to be so direct. Did he want to fight him? President, are we going to start now? Old Bai snorted. Do you expect me to teach you slowly? Hurry up. After I teach you, you can get out of here. Han Fei immediately became serious. This was the first time that Old Bai taught him in person. Xiao Zhan had taught him combat skills before, but Old Bai had never taught him in person. Han Fei frowned and attacked with all his 99 blue sea wandering dragon daggers. Ha! All of them have their spirits sealed. Spiritual weapons with spirits were even faster. Ordinary peak-level dangling fishers would be killed in the blink of an eye in the face of 100 ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Even Han Fei himself would be killed in an instant if he was attacked by the million knife art formed by an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Old Bai rolled up his sleeves, and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers were rolled into Old Bai's sleeves one after another like long dragons. Wow! Han Fei was dumbfounded. Where are my daggers? Old Bai's beard curled up slightly, but he waved his hand and the million knife art swept towards Han Fei crazily. It was even faster than when it left. Fortunately, the spiritual weapons wouldn't kill their owners, so they all disappeared into Han Fei's body. But in the eyes of outsiders, it seemed that Han Fei had been pierced by thousands of swords and had no room to resist. Old Bai said, "You haven't mastered the million knife art yet. Next one." Then he used the War Soul Bow technique and Han Fei shot 6 arrows in a row. He didn't prepare to shoot the 7th arrow because his arms might not be able to bear it after shooting it. But Old Bai gathered spiritual energy in the air, turned it into a sword, and blew up the spiritual energy arrow, and then shot 6 arrows back at Han Fei in the same way. Han Fei used all his strength and waved the embroidery needle vigorously, but he failed to block the 2nd arrow, which hit him in the back and blasted him hundreds of meters away. Old Bai exclaimed, "Ha! This combat skill seems to be derived from the War God Bow, but it's even stronger than the War God Bow and has added soul attacks. Did you comprehend it yourself?" Of course, Han Fei's answer was yes. Old Bai nodded slightly. That's not bad. The bow technique is not bad, but the speed of the arrows is too slow. It's not suitable for melee combat, but more suitable for team battles. Next one. The 3rd chapter. Asking for votes. The author says, a transitional chapter, relaxing and casual, end of this chapter. Chapter 556. When Han Fei used the majestic mystic spell and the draw technique, Old Bai was surprised. Old Bai asked, "Secret techniques aside, what kind of knife technique is this?" Han Fei bragged, "This is the ultimate knife attack that I've comprehended. With one slash, the knife intent is unleashed, and the knife intent is combined with the knife realm to unleash the spirit, energy, and spirit, as well as an indomitable momentum, BAM." Han Fei was slapped away, and Old Bai said, "You brag to me every day. What knife intent do you think you're talking about? Have you mastered the real knife intent? You don't even know that knife intent and knife realm are the same thing. How dare you brag to me? There is indeed knife intent in this knife technique, but it's not complete. You've only learned half of it. If you continue to study it, it'll be fine, but you don't seem to care at all." Grabbing Han Fei back, Old Bai said, I heard that you have another punch. Show it to me. Han Fei was a little dizzy. He scratched his head and said, Mr. President, take it. As the sacrificing punch was brewing, Old Bai's eyes narrowed slightly. He felt a soaring murderous intent. This punch was definitely comprehended in a life-and-death battle. When Han Fei blasted out the sacrificing punch, the huge energy swept over 100 meters and the power spread over 1,000 meters. Xiao Zhan and Wenren Yu couldn't help but fly into the sky to see what was going on between Han Fei and Old Bai. Boom! Old Bai grabbed the fist mark with one hand and stomped his feet, and a defense array appeared. The sacrificing punch, which should have punched a whole dozens of meters wide in the ground, was locked in the defense array, and the dazzling brilliance lasted for 10 minutes. Han Fei was dumbfounded. President, what array is this? Old Bai smiled grimly. Why, do you want to learn it? This has nothing to do with arrays, but strength. You are too weak. Useless. Han Fei had used all his unique skills. The art of invincibility was not perfect yet, and that thing was comprehended by comprehension. Even if he showed it, he couldn't ask Old Bai to help him comprehend it. So Han Fei didn't use it. Old Bai said leisurely, this punch is not bad. However, the person who taught you must have been quite a domineering person. Other people use this fist as a life-saving technique, but if you used it in battle, you would be lacking in terms of momentum and willpower. Don't look down on these minor flaws. They've reduced the power of this fist by at least 30%. So many. Old Bai sneered. What do you think? Also, I don't know if it's just my imagination. The speed at which you unleash this punch seems to be a bit slow, as if you can't explode it in one go. This punch is 20% less powerful than the original one. Han Fei was shocked. Isn't it 50% weaker? Old Bai said with a faint smile, yes. In that case, it seems that it wasn't that person who taught you on the spot. Instead, it was an opportunity that you obtained by chance. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Are the eyes of the strong so sharp? How could he even see this? In fact, as Old Bai said, it was because he saw that fist mark that he learned it. As for why his explosive speed was a little slow, it must be because of the fundamental difference between him and Ren Tianfen. Ren Tianfen had no meridians in his body, but he had meridians in his body. Although energy was not only conducted through the meridians, it would inevitably be blocked by the meridians. But in this regard, if his meridians were always intact, the sacrificing punch he performed would never reach a perfect level. In the distance, Wenren Yu and Xiao Zhan looked at each other. Wenren Yu asked, what combat skill is this? Xiao Zhan nodded. I can't tell. It seems that no one has used it before. It's not a low-level combat skill. Old Bai glanced at the two of them, and then the two of them fell into the forest and continued to teach Lu Renkuang and Xia Shaochan. Han Fei couldn't help asking, President, do you think there is any way to improve it? Old Bai pondered for a moment. The War Soul Bao technique seems to consume a lot of spiritual energy, but it works well in team combat. It may come in handy in the unknown place that we're about to go to. The Million Knife art lacks a bit of knife intent. If you can integrate even a little bit of knife intent into it, its power will be incomparable. Han Fei's eyes flashed. He didn't think about it, mainly because there are too many knives in the Million Knife art. It's not a simple thing to integrate knife intent. But since Old Bai said so, I can give it a try. Old Bai suddenly asked, Han Fei, do you have any insights in deducing techniques? Being asked by Old Bai, Han Fei's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Did Old Bai see through it? Han Fei chuckled. Yes. It seems that a little bit. When I was cultivating, I always felt a little uncomfortable, so I would modify it a little by myself. Old Bai was stunned. You just modified it casually and it was suitable for you? Han Fei nodded. Of course. President, I'm not bragging, but I have a sixth sense. I actually have a sixth sense. My sixth sense. Bim, Han Fei was slapped away. Old Bai didn't listen to him at all. He said helplessly, "I'll give you a day to see if you can figure out something different. Come to me at this time tomorrow." Han Fei was thrown to the entrance of the cave by Old Bai. He was a little speechless. Old Bai didn't even give him a tree house to sleep in. Han Fei simply sat in the cave. He hadn't noticed before, but it seemed that none of his combat skills were actually perfect. It was just that because the level of his combat skills was too high or his combat power was too strong, it gave others an illusion that he had cultivated all his combat skills to the extreme. Han Fei was trying to deduce the million knife art. Among all the commonly used combat skills at present, only the million knife art was still demon level high quality. His original consideration was that the main reason why the million knife art was demon level high quality was that the weapon was rare. Moreover, it had extremely high requirements for spiritual power. Putting aside this factor, the million knife art itself was definitely not as simple as demon level high quality. If he continued to deduce it, the requirements for the million knife art would probably be even higher. Han Fei felt that he might not be able to meet its requirements. Forget it, let's wait a little longer. At this time, Han Fei didn't think about whether to deduce the million knife art or not. His eyes fell on the knife intent and the knife realm. What was knife intent? Old Bai said that knife intent and knife realm were the same thing. Were they really the same thing? The intent was the realm, and the realm was the realm. It seemed that they were really the same thing. However, it was said in the saber scripture that the way of the knife was the way of man. In fact, everything was the same. Not only the knife, but also the people who used the sword. The way of the sword was the way of man. Different people walked different paths, so the concepts they summed up were different. This was also what the saber scripture said. 100 people used 100 knives, but the knife intent was very different. If one could really comprehend his own exclusive realm, it would not be a realm, but a way, commonly known as the way of the knife. Han Fei felt a headache coming on. What could he possibly learn in one day? After sitting for an hour, Han Fei still couldn't figure it out. Thus, he slipped out of the cave and ran into the library. Lu Rinquang was flipping through books. He had read more than 5 armor art books. He turned over a pile of books. Han Fei was speechless. "Quang, can you finish reading them?" Lu Rinquang shrugged. "No, I can. Find a few of the best ones, and then read the rest for reference. Read them all. They all have something in common anyway." Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. "Then wait a minute. I'll read them with you." After a while, Han Fei also found nearly 20 books on knife techniques and sat next to Lu Rinquang to read. Lu Rinquang looked dumbfounded. "Why are you reading so many knives? I also have a knife here. Can I lend it to you?" "Go away. I'm reading." It only took Han Fei an hour to flip through all the books. He found that everyone had a different concept of using knives. Some people thought that knives were killing skills. They should be sharp and full of killing intent. Some people said that knives were dominating weapons, and there was no regret in using knives. In the way of knives, victory or defeat was only determined by life and death. Some people said that knives were just weapons, and it depended on what state the user was in. Different states were different knives, which could be domineering, sharp, or gentle. Bah, gentle. I use knives to fight. If I'm gentle, how can I fight? Until Han Fei turned to a combat skill book, which was written by a girl who used a knife. She said that the knife of emotion was the best for killing. Domineering was unparalleled, gloomy was sad, and extreme joy was fearless. It was changeable because of emotions. Ha! This is interesting. Chapter 557. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan finally walked 20 kilometers with 4 big stones on their backs. At this moment, the two of them were hiding on the top of the mountain and whispering. Ling Yuan said with certainty, I have a feeling that senior brother Han Fei and the others will have a miserable life in the future. Chu Jinan wondered, why? I saw senior brother Han Fei carrying 4 stones very easily just now, and he seemed to have a fight with the principal just now. However, he must have been beaten badly. Ling Yuan sneered. Are you stupid? They are all going to the unknown place. Don't you know what kind of place it is? It was said that not many of those who went there could return. It's good to be beaten badly. Chu Jinan still didn't believe it. But senior brother and senior sister are very powerful. Although the teacher didn't tell us, I'm afraid they have made a lot of noise in the level 3 fishery. Ling Yuan said, put your ear closer. Chu Jinan obediently put his ear closer. Huh? Chu Jinan looked at Ling Yuan in astonishment. Really? Ling Yuan scoffed. Why would I lie to you? So, senior brother must have a lot of enemies. If they go to the unknown place like this, the teacher and the principal will definitely be very worried. Then during this period of time, they will definitely train them to death, just like how they trained us to death back then. What are you two whispering about? While the two were muttering, they saw Han Fei chewing small dried fish on a big stone tens of meters above them, looking at them. Both of them were shocked. Why didn't they notice Han Fei when he was already behind them? Chu Jinan hurriedly said, Senior brother, we have moved the stones back. Ling Yuan said cautiously, Senior brother, you didn't hear anything just now, did you? Han Fei smiled weirdly. I heard everything. Ah. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan looked at each other and didn't speak. Han Fei didn't explain anything, and his expression suddenly became serious. Chu Jinan, as a manipulator, you don't have any vigilance at all. I'm already next to you, but you don't have any reaction at all. Yes, senior brother, you're right. Han Fei pretended to be teachable and said to Ling Yuan, and you, Ling Yuan, don't listen to those irrelevant rumors outside. Yes, senior brother. Han Fei jumped down from the rock, broke a twig, and said, yes. Senior brother, I see that you guys are always slacking off. This can't go on. Well, I'll suppress my strength to that of an advanced great fishing master and spar with you. Ling Yuan craned her head. Are we going to use contractual spiritual beasts? She wanted to say that she wouldn't fight with her contractual spiritual beasts. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp was too fierce to fight at all. Han Fei shook his head. I don't need it. I'll fight you with this twig. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan couldn't help but be tempted. Although they were safe and sound in school, in fact, when they went to the Blue Sea Arena, they were famous for being fierce. Just like when Han Fei and the others went to the Blue Sea Arena, many people almost called him Daddy. If one wanted to become a powerhouse, one naturally had to have a fearless heart. Therefore, both Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan readily agreed when they heard that Han Fei didn't need a contractual spiritual beast. After all, they were all advanced great fishing masters. It was hard to say who was stronger and who was weaker. However, Ling Yuan still asked, Senior brother, although your realm is suppressed to that of an advanced great fishing master, your physique is still at the level of a dangling fisher. How can we win? Han Fei smiled. Win? What do you mean? Let's fight for an hour first. Ling Yuan. Chu Jinan. Han Fei suddenly looked up at the sky with a melancholy look on his face. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were still puzzled when they saw the twig in Han Fei's hand was suddenly filled with spiritual energy, as if it had become a sharp long knife. Ling Yuan shouted, Nan, do it. Chu Jinan's reaction was very fast. The sea god grass suddenly burst out, covering all the rocks within dozens of meters, and countless seaweeds tried to entangle Han Fei's body. Swish! Han Fei waved his hand casually, and the sea god grass on the ground was cut open more than 3 meters long, and a branch was cut by him with a cold knife light. Copy. A mass of sea god grass quickly turned into a human shape and seemed to become Han Fei's appearance. Ha! What a weird combat skill. However, Han Fei didn't have an opponent, so he held the branch in his hand and stared at the grass doll. The latter actually used the exact same move as him. Unfortunately, Han Fei couldn't simulate what he had fused into his knife. So, with only 3 slashes, the grass doll was split into 3 pieces by Han Fei. At this moment, in Ling Yuan's armor box, 7 swords hung in the sky, rushing at Han Fei from all directions. Han Fei put one hand behind his back and held the branch in the other, waving it and looking very melancholy. However, none of the 7 swords could fall on Han Fei. But Han Fei frowned. Something's wrong. Why can't I transmit my emotions? Why can't I transmit them? Han Fei suddenly grinned and shouted, "Hey, junior brothers and junior sisters, attack with all your strength, or I won't show mercy to you." Clank, clank, clank. Ling Yuan made 2 more slashes, and the hilts of the swords connected, spinning like a wheel, rushing straight at Han Fei. This was the most typical combat skill armorist. Han Fei pointed the long knife in his hand, and a kind of indomitable knife intent filled the branch. Bam! The 2 swords flew horizontally. Ling Yuan was very shocked. It was just a simple stab. Why was it so powerful? 7 swords in one. Swish, 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 the amazing sword momentum stabbed at Han Fei, and the speed was so fast that sword light suddenly appeared. There seemed to be a special charm in it, which seemed to coincide with the understanding of sword intent. Han Fei screamed, "Good, watch me draw my knife." The next moment, the 7 swords were blown away, and Ling Yuan was shaken dozens of meters away, her eyes full of disbelief. 1 hour later. Ling Yuan lay on the ground. "Stop, senior brother, stop." Chu Jinnan sat on the ground. "Senior brother, why is your branch so powerful? I feel it's stronger than magic weapons." Han Fei didn't seem to hear what they said, but looked at the branch in his hand, murmuring, "No, no, emotions don't work. I naturally integrated my momentum, domineering, indomitable, fierce, with absolute confidence. This is what they haven't comprehended yet. How can they be my opponents?" Han Fei suddenly raised his head, pointed his fingers, and 2 pillars of spiritual energy poured into the bodies of the 2. Han Fei said, "Come on, I'll fight you with the strength of an intermediate great fishing master." At dinner. Lu Renkuang was preparing dinner, and Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan were helping him. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan ran to the kitchen like crazy, and Chu Jinan shouted, "Senior brother, it's time to eat. Can we eat first?" Ling Yuan said, "Senior brother, let's take a break. Don't use the same moves again and again." Han Fei chased after the 2 of them. "Don't go. I'll fight you with the strength of a junior great fishing master." "It's really too junior." Xia Shaochan wondered, what's wrong with them? When did they get along so well? "I don't understand." It seems that Han Fei asked Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan to carry stones. Lu Renkuang asked, "Isn't Han Fei reading books with me in the library in the afternoon?" The next day. When Han Fei went to find Old Bai, he was slapped away by Old Bai. Old Bai said, "No, it's too complicated. I asked you to comprehend knife intent, not to add everything to it. You have to understand what is most suitable for you and what it feels like when you fight with others." As a result, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were even more unlucky. The 2 of them were whipped by Han Fei with a branch for a day. On the 3rd day, when Han Fei went to find Old Bai, he grinned. "When I fight with others, I only have one word for it, cool." Then, Han Fei flew away again. Old Bai said, "Cool my ass. Take it seriously. What kind of road do you want to cut with the knife in your hand?" So Han Fei caught Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan in the rubble. From time to time, a strange knife light swept all the way, cutting a road, and all the obstacles along the way were blown away. Chu Jinan said with a sad face, "Senior brother, I am a manipulator. If I am not a soul warrior, can you find senior brother you to fight with you?" Han Fei said, "Cut the crap. I found that you don't have many fighting skills. Let me teach you. Ling Yuan said, Senior brother, I've checked. You have already comprehended knife intent. Although you have reduced your strength, you are still fighting with us. Don't be like this. Han Fei said, shut up, the level 3 fishery is full of monsters. You can't even resist this little knife intent. Why do you want to go to the level 3 fishery? Come on, I won't bully you, as long as you can take this knife. Oh no, as long as you can take a branch from me. Ling Yuan, 2nd. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 558. Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were not free until half a month later. In the past half a month, they didn't even fight in the arena but were beaten by Han Fei from morning to night in the school. It was useless to cry or ask for help. No one cared about them at all. Today, the 5 of them were taken out of the school by Old Bai, and Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were finally liberated. When the 2 of them were having breakfast, they almost cried with joy. A fight was only called a fight if the opponent was evenly matched. If the strength was seriously unbalanced, it was called abuse. They felt that they had been abused for half a month. That kind of mental torture, even Chu Jinan, who was usually very obedient, was about to collapse. Chu Jinan even said that he would beat Han Fei to the ground in the future. Not to mention whether Chu Jinan's words could be realized, in the past half a month, this kid's courage had been abruptly tempered by Han Fei. That was something that couldn't be helped. If they rushed up to fight, they would still be beaten. If they acted like a coward, they would still be beaten. Anyway, he would be beaten anyway, so Chu Jinan finally went all out. However, the result of risking everything was that he was still beaten, which made him very sad. After breakfast, Chu Jinan said to Ling Yuan, I want to go to the arena. Ling Yuan nodded seriously. I want to go too. I feel like I've been holding it in for half a month. Chu Jinan nodded in agreement. Me too. This was the martial arts field in the center of the Blue Sea town. The building was tall and the field was spacious. Rows of thick stone pillars were dozens of meters high, but the ground was not so good. There were potholes everywhere as if it had been through a long battle. As a town's martial arts field, its purpose was not for ordinary people to come here to practice, but for large-scale activities. It mainly included the selection of some social talents, the assessment of the managers of the floating island, multi-school joint competitions, etc. This time, the 4 academies were all here. The presidents of the other 3 academies had brought teams of nearly dozens of people. These people were mainly the group of people who had been training in the Blazing Mountain. Everyone was familiar with each other, or at least familiar with each other. Ha! Did they add some people? Zhang Xuanyu said, some of them seem a little old. Wenrenyu, during this year, there are only about 200 people left to participate in the Flaming Mountain trial. Naturally, some of the top students in the school will be promoted to participate. But the minimum requirement is the Dangling Fisher realm, so some senior students naturally came in. There are no grades in our school. Wenrenyu was speechless. There are 7 of you in total. What grade are you divided into? At this moment, many people were looking at them. Especially Han Fei, he attracted many people's attention. Han Fei made such a big noise in the level 3 fishery that they had to know about it. Most of the people who came here today were dangling fishers, and only a few great fishing masters were among them. These great fishing masters didn't come here to go to the unknown place. They were just called here by their teachers to see the world. He Xiaoyu, Xiao Wushuang, and the others were among them. At this moment, they were standing at the edge, so they did not have a chance to appear. Han Fei felt a scorching gaze in the crowd, which seemed to want to kill him. No one knew how miserable Li Hani's life was in the level 3 fishery. Xiang Zuozua and the others spent most of their time on dragon boats or searching for secret realms. Li Hani was different. He was quite talented and had been to many dangerous places. But obviously, luck really varied from person to person. For several times, Li Honey felt that he was about to be killed, but suddenly a chance appeared. For example, after Han Fei came out of the steps into the sea that day and was exposed, everyone chased him. Then, they forgot that he was on the steps into the sea, which allowed him to narrowly escape. But he hated Han Fei bitterly. If it weren't for this bastard, he might have obtained a greater opportunity now. Xia Xiaochan poked Han Fei with her finger and whispered, "I think we should have killed him at that time." Han Fei grinned. "It's okay. He has been ruthlessly crushed by us." The 5 people, including the presidents of the 3 academies, Old Bai, and the mayor, were standing in the center at the moment, talking. Wu Junwei asked, "Didn't your thug academy advance? Why did you come here?" Old Bai said proudly, "Our school doesn't want to bluff our way through." Su Tianji asked, "Bai Kongyi, do you think this is interesting? Are you asking Han Fei and the others to participate in the competition on the island?" Old Bai said with bright eyes, "Didn't I restrict their strength? They are not allowed to use spiritual beasts, contractual spiritual beasts, spiritual weapons, or secret techniques. What else do you want?" Chu Mengxue asked, "Are you serious?" Wu Junwei snorted. "Bai Kongyi, you and I both know that they don't have to participate. If your thug academy wants to make a name for itself again, wait until the 36 town exchange competition." "What do you mean by taking action now?" Old Bai sneered. "My thug academy hasn't even regained its foothold in the Blue Sea town. I don't have a good reason to take action." The 4 presidents were in a stalemate, and finally, the mayor said, "Let's make a compromise and each take a step back. The 3 academies will exchange according to the original plan, and the Thug Academy will stay in the top 5. Old Bai was immediately unhappy. "That won't work. If we don't fight, how can we determine the ranking?" The mayor smiled. "Old Bai, let me finish. Although the Thug Academy won't participate, the 3 academies can challenge them. As long as they win against any one of them, they can be in the top 5. Chu Mengxue added, "Spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts are not allowed, and spiritual weapons and secret techniques are not allowed either." Old Bai said contemptuously, "No problem, but at least 2 people from each of your academies will challenge them. Otherwise, our Thug Academy won't stand there." Wu Junwei and Su Tianji looked at each other and acquiesced. In fact, they also wanted to see how much Han Fei and the others had grown. The rumors in the level 3 fishery were too exaggerated. How could these 5 kids kill the hanging fishers guarding the dragon boat? After a moment, Old Bai came back and sighed. "I've tried my best, but these people are as timid as mice and won't let us participate in the competition," Lu Renquang chuckled. "It's great that we can enter the top 5 without fighting." Old Bai snorted. "Bullshit, it's great to win." Han Fei asked, "Hasn't the secret realm of the Fiery Mountain been ranked?" Old Bai said, "That's different. After the competition starts here, there will be spectators." "There will be spectators?" Everyone looked at each other. "So, Old Bai, you just want to show off your strength, don't you?" Old Bai said reluctantly, "Forget it. When they compete, let's sit in the nearest place and wait for them to challenge us." Everyone. Han Fei said, "President, I think I can go back and comprehend the knife intent." Zhang Xuanyu also nodded. "President, it's not good for us to sit and watch them fight, right?" Luo Xiaobai asked, "Well, President, can I go back to cultivate?" Old Bai glanced back at them. "Who dares to leave? You will represent the Blue Sea town in the competition. Who dares to leave?" Everyone. About half an hour later, many residents of the Blue Sea town poured into the martial arts field one after another. Everyone was attracted by the qualifiers of the 36 town competition. When the entire martial arts field was full of people, the competition officially began. The rules of the competition were decided by drawing lots, but it had nothing to do with Han Fei and the others. Old Bai and Wenren Yu sat at the judges' table. The 5 of them were forced by Old Bai to move a stone and sit right below the judge's table in the martial arts arena. As long as they stretched out their feet, they could stand on the field. Many people were speechless. Those guys are from the Thug Academy, right? Why are they sitting on the field? Someone wondered. I haven't heard any news about the Thug legend for a long time. It is said that they went to the level 3 fishery. What are they doing? Someone shouted, "Hey! Han Fei and the others, what are you doing in the martial arts field?" Someone laughed and said, "They can't be treating this as a team competition, right?" However, the mayor suddenly coughed. "Well, everyone, please be quiet. Before the competition, after the comprehensive evaluation of the 4 academies and me, Han Fei, Xia Shaochan, Luo Xiaobai, Lu Renquang, and Zhang Xuanyu from the Thug Academy are directly ranked as the top 5 of this competition and will represent the Blue Sea Town." At the same time, before the mayor finished speaking, there was an uproar in the field. Why? No, the competition hasn't even started. How can they be ranked in the top 5? Half of the top 10 have been occupied. What's the point of the competition? They haven't even fought. We don't recognize them as the top 5. Yes, we don't recognize them. There were clamors all over the field, insisting that Han Fei and the others participate in the competition. They heard the mayor shout, "Silence, all of you. Listen to me, all students from the 3 academies can challenge any of the top 5 students at any time, and the winner will be directly ranked in the top 5. The number of challenges is unlimited. Also, according to our comprehensive evaluation, Han Fei and the others are not allowed to use spiritual beasts, contractual spiritual beasts, secret methods, spiritual weapons, etc. In the face of challenges, these 5 people must accept the challenge and cannot shirk it." The author said, "Let me explain first. Don't read the bright list alone. It's not the top 10 on the day before the event. The top 10 on a single day is useless. I mean the top 10 after the event, which will be listed after the end of the 27th. Also, don't rush me to update. I've been out for a few days. If I write too fast, it will affect the plot. Besides, is the 3rd chapter slow? It's all tears. My hands are broken. I'm crying." End of this chapter. Chapter 559. The audience was stunned. What the hell is this? The people of the 3 academies can challenge the 5 of them at any time and also restrict them from using their spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts? Someone said in surprise, "Wait, how strong are these people from the Thug legend? Why do they have such outrageous rules?" Someone wondered, are they so strong that they are invincible among the young generation in the Blue Sea Town? Someone said with certainty, there must be something wrong. Maybe they are really strong. There were also a few people who came back from the level 3 fishery with bitter smiles. If you knew the achievements of these people in the level 3 fishery, you would be scared to death. Someone sighed secretly. How could the top 5 of the wanted list in the level 3 fishery be comparable to them? However, some people also suspected that if they couldn't even use their spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts, then the gap between them would be huge. For example, one was an intermediate dangling fisher and the other was close to an advanced or even a peak-level dangling fisher. While the other couldn't use anything, the gap in strength would be immediately widened. There was a lot of noise in the martial arts field, but as the game began, the noise gradually faded away. At least for the time being, no one had chosen to challenge the people from the Thug Academy. 2 hours later, Han Fei and the others were so bored that they almost fell asleep. Han Fei and Lu Renquang were next to each other, chewing snacks such as dried fish and potato chips from time to time. "Crack, crack," Luo Xiaobai said with a black face, "You too, pay attention to your image." Han Fei said, "Don't worry about our image. We have been regarded as iron-head fish." "What image do we have?" Xia Shaochan held a dagger in one hand and spun it in circles. She was so fast that only the hilt could be seen, but the blade could not be seen. Zhang Xuanyu even sat cross-legged on a stone, holding several books in his hands and studying them. Recently, he seemed to have learned a lot of new things from Xiao Zhan, so he had merged the 9-layered waves in the furious sea into one, but he still needed to find a way to advance. On the martial arts field, the battle didn't last very long, especially when the opponent was an armorist. Then, the fight would be very slow. At this moment, Li Hani had defeated many people along the way. In the level 3 fishery, he might not be qualified. But in the Blue Sea town, he was still the shining star. Especially now that this guy had learned many offensive combat skills, not just defense, so when he fought, he would appear to be even more ferocious. At this time, Li Hani had killed the 9th opponent. Suddenly, Li Han shouted, "Han Fei, I want to challenge you." Buzz! Everyone in the martial arts practice field was shocked. Someone shouted, "Good! Good job! Those 5 little bastards have been sitting there and eating dried fish for 4 hours. I'm so hungry. Whoa! Finally, someone is going to challenge them. I can't wait. Don't be afraid. They won't let us use our spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts. Don't be afraid. Let's kill them." There was a reason why Li Hani challenged Han Fei. Of course, he knew that Han Fei was strong, very strong. When Han Fei pretended to be Fan Datong, he was only an intermediate dangling fisher. He didn't need a contractual spiritual beast or a spiritual beast, but he used a secret method. This time, neither secret methods nor spiritual weapons were allowed to be used. Han Fei only had the strength of an advanced dangling fisher, so he thought it was worth a try. With a swish, Han Fei stood up from the stone. He had almost fallen asleep. Seeing that Li Hani actually challenged him, he immediately beamed with joy. Finally, he could fight. Li Hani didn't know that Han Fei was more keen on fighting recently. If he knew very well about the Thug Academy and knew that Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan had been beaten crazy by Han Fei with twigs in the past half-month, he might not have challenged Han Fei. Han Fei leaped forward and jumped into the martial arts practice field. He took out a twig casually. "Hey, let me tell you, I've tolerated you for a long time. You are too narrow-minded and narrow-minded. How can you achieve great things?" Li Hani. The audience? Li Hani said angrily, "Han Fei, don't slander me. You shameless bastard, I'll have to teach you a lesson today." With that, a high-quality battle suit appeared on Li Hani's body. Immediately afterward, he pressed the armor box on the ground and a high-quality spiritual weapon appeared in front of Li Hani. 2 high-quality spiritual weapons were all Li Hani had gained in the level 3 fishery. Originally, he had more, but because he was impersonated by Han Fei, he didn't know how many times he had been robbed. In the end, he was so poor that he could only go back to the Blue Sea town by fishing. In the martial arts practice field, Li Hani's preparation was far more than that. A big conch phantom appeared and his spiritual beast, the mountain-carrying conch, directly fused with it. Besides, he also found a shell that Han Fei had never seen before as his contractual spiritual beast. This shell had a sharp metal aura. It seemed to be a type of shell with an offensive nature. Han Fei shook the twig in his hand and injected spiritual energy into it. Immediately, knife light overflowed from the twig. In the judges' seats, Chu Mengxue glanced at Old Bai. "Knife intent?" Wu Jun frowned slightly and said, "Li Hani's strongest defense. Even if he found an offensive contractual spiritual beast, it is still offensive and defensive. If Han Fei wants to defeat him with a twig in the same realm. Unless he has comprehended the real knife intent." Su Tianji coughed. "Old Bai, isn't this a bit too much?" Old Bai sneered. "What do you know about knife intent? This kind of artistic conception is different for everyone. Who told you that Han Fei has comprehended knife intent?" Chu Mengxue said, "Impossible. If he hasn't comprehended it, how can he win?" Outside the martial arts practice field, many people couldn't help rubbing their heads. Someone was stunned. Isn't this a bit unfair? Li Hani is armed to the teeth. What is Han Fei holding in his hand? A twig? Someone frowned. How can he win with a twig? No matter how strong Han Fei is, he can't break the mountain-carrying conch with a twig, can he? While people were still talking, Li Hani had already started to attack. A small spiritual energy arrow shot through the air at Han Fei, and it was not weak at all. It was the power of an advanced dangling fisher. Li Hani asked, Han Fei, how can you win if you don't use anything? Han Fei held the twig in his hand, and at the moment the spiritual energy arrow fell, he threw it casually. Wherever the dazzling saber light swept past, the small spirit light arrow would instantly shatter into pieces. Li Hani hurriedly threw out dozens of spiritual energy arrows, but they couldn't catch Han Fei's casual throw. Huh! Mountain-carrying armor shield. The ground protruded, and a stone steel shield emerged from the ground, and at the same time, pieces of crystal armor wrapped Li Hani. The sword in his hand, surrounded by the broken stones on the ground, grew bigger and finally became a real 10-meter-long sword. Boom! Kacha! The stone wall shattered with a crash, and Han Fei's knife still had a trace of power left, but it fell on the crystal armor shield and couldn't move forward anymore. At this moment, the giant sword had already stabbed straight at Han Fei. The audience was stunned. Many people wondered if the thing in Han Fei's hand was a fucking branch. How could a branch cut out such a domineering knife light? At this moment, when the giant sword took shape, its power was even vaguely comparable to Lu Renkuang's bloodthirsty broadsword, and its power had surpassed the full blow of an ordinary peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei didn't doubt the power of this sword. It seemed that Li Hani was indeed enchanted. The price of this sword was not small. If the blow failed, Li Hani was likely to suffer a backlash. But what did it have to do with him whether Li Hani was injured or not? Han Fei pulled out a few branches casually as if he were juggling, and the audience didn't even feel that Han Fei had exerted any force. However, such an ordinary attack was bombarded by the giant sword domineeringly. Crack, 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 the stone giant sword was breaking inch by inch, and it couldn't even move forward a bit, which made Li Hani full of horror. Li Hani was stunned. Impossible, you are also an advanced dangling fisher. How could it be possible? In the judges' seats, except for Old Bai, even the mayor was a little dumbfounded. Suddenly, the mayor said, "Did he?" Old Bai grinned and said, "Ha! This kid claims that he wants to comprehend knife intent, but he doesn't even know what knife intent is. He was fooling around and accidentally integrated a bit of invincible fighting intent. He's really stupid and can't be taught." Everyone. At that time, the faces of the three presidents were all black. They just wanted to punch Old Bai in the face. What did he mean by comprehending knife intent? He accidentally integrated a bit of invincible fighting intent? What was the art of invincibility? They had only heard a little about it, but none of them had seen it. You tell me, this kid has comprehended the art of invincibility? The mayor's face darkened. I'm already a hidden fisher, but I haven't seen the art of invincibility, but a student has comprehended it. Are you mocking us? Crack. With the sound of the shield armor breaking, Li Hani had fallen to the ground with his head up. Han Fei frowned and shook the small branch in his hand again. No, no. Why is the knife intent getting less and less in the end? No, I have to go back and try it with Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan. Chapter 560. There was dead silence inside and outside the martial arts field. Many people's eyes almost popped out and their faces were full of disbelief. Someone asked, "Brother, have we been fooled? Why do I feel that Han Fei's knife light is still at the level of an advanced dangling fisher?" The person who was asked said in a daze, "Brother, you're right. My judgment is the same as yours. The knife light itself doesn't seem to have become stronger." Someone said in disbelief, "This is a paradox. How can he break Li Hani's mountain-carrying conch without any improvement in combat power?" Too many people outside the field were shocked, including Li Hani himself, who was also full of disbelief. When Li Hani was dragged to the rest area, Xiang Zuozhua and the others had already surrounded him. Did Han Fei cheat? Lin Shenmu cast a healing technique on Li Hani while frowning. I don't think he cheated. The knife light seems to be more than knife light. There seems to be something weird in it. Xiang Zuozhua nodded. That's true. I have a feeling that I'm also a little tempted after seeing him attack. Zhong Yu added, not just you, I also have this feeling. Xiang Zuozhua asked, then should I also challenge him? I think it will be inspiring for me. Everyone was stunned. Should we? It seems that we can't resist Han Fei's casual attacks just now. He Xiaoyu and the others who had been watching from the sidelines were also dumbfounded. Xia Wushuang gasped. Last time, when we were in the deep-sea jungle, Han Fei seemed to use his fists, right? I felt that punch almost suffocated me. It was terrifying to the extreme. How could he use the branches like this today? Wang Baiyu added, I always feel that something is wrong. It's too stable. Did you notice that when Han Fei swept his knife, the spiritual energy didn't dissipate at all? Does this make sense? Xiang Nan scratched his head. It doesn't make sense. Even our teacher can't make such a knife light. He Xiaoyu said contemptuously, your teacher is much weaker than Han Fei now. This was the truth. The teachers of the three academies were not necessarily strong, and they didn't have to be strong to teach. So far, there were still a large number of great fishing master teachers teaching freshmen. Even among the senior teachers, only a few had reached the realm of advanced dangling fishers, and few of them were peak-level dangling fishers. Think about it, if one really became a peak-level dangling fisher, who would want to be a teacher? They were all pursuing the path of cultivation. No matter what, it's better than being a teacher, right? Then, a strange phenomenon occurred in the battle. The ranking competition is actually very easy. Everybody is here to make a show and show the people of the Blue Sea Town how excellent the students of our school are. Old Bai also saw this point, so he ordered them to come over to play the game. Now, as soon as Han Fei showed up, all his bragging was gone. All the praises were focused on Han Fei. Therefore, Xiang Zuozhua was the second one to challenge Han Fei. Unfortunately, she was defeated after only 3 strikes. After returning to the resting area, the first thing Xiang Zuozhua said was, there's momentum. There's a mysterious momentum in his saber gleam, but I have no idea how he blended it in. Kang Yunfei challenged Han Fei, but he still only blocked 3 strikes and was defeated again. Kang Yunfei was surrounded by people and only said one sentence, domineering, his saber is too domineering. After hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. How could the stable saber gleam be related to domineering? Then, except for Han Fei and his team, almost all the top 10 people challenged Han Fei. Some people really felt it. For example, Qin Wuyin. He said, in Han Fei's saber gleam, there is a sharpness other than the gung metal saber qi, which is very mysterious. Some people didn't feel it, but they had to say something after the battle, right? So the person bragged, I see, there is a strong killing intent in his saber. So this person was beaten up by the crowd. Not to mention they couldn't understand it, even Zhang Xuanyu and the others didn't understand it, including the presidents at the judges' table. Maybe they had a deeper understanding of it. However, this kind of thing was too mysterious, and even the user would only have that feeling when using it. If you asked him to say it, he wouldn't be able to describe it. This was impossible. Under the attention of the crowd, Old Bai proudly led Han Fei and the others back to school. Before leaving, everyone looked at Han Fei, their eyes full of wonder and curiosity. However, Old Bai pretended to be profound and didn't point it out, letting others get excited. So, along the way, President Bai, can the Thug Academy lower the enrollment standards a little next year? President Bai, I have money, and my son Zhang Teng has the aptitude of a hidden fisher. Can he go to the Thug Academy? President Bai, does your school accept auditing students? I am willing to pay 100,000 mid-quality pearls. President Bai, Elder Bai ignored these people and walked out of the martial arts practice field with his head held high. After going out, Zhang Xuanyu said helplessly, President, so you just came here to show off, right? Lu Rinquang nodded repeatedly. It must be. The point is, why didn't those people choose us? Old Bai said meaningfully, it's mainly because they were attracted by Han Fei's saber gleam. Han Fei, can you understand what kind of saber gleam you created? Han Fei was taken aback. He kind of understood, but he didn't seem to understand. So Han Fei forced himself to brag. The main thing is that I found a very important problem. We just burst out things like spiritual energy, but spiritual energy is spiritual energy after all. But spiritual chi was spiritual chi after all. Although it was ever-changing due to battle tactics, it was still spiritual chi in the end. So, I added my immortal spirit, domineering momentum, noble character, invincible faith, and unyielding will. Bam! Everyone saw Han Fei draw a perfect arc in the sky, and fly away. Old Bai's face was black. How did you teach such a thing? Speaking nonsense with a straight face, it seems like it can only be a coincidence. But Old Bai said to Han Fei, who ran back with a gloomy face, although you seem to have cultivated your saber to a very wonderful state now, there is a big problem. But there's a big problem. Your saber won't grow with your strength unless your invincible fighting will is strengthened again. Otherwise, this kind of saber will be fixed and has a lot of limitations. With the improvement of your realm, it's easy to be surpassed. Han Fei said indifferently, I just need to be powerful now. Old Bai snorted. You have to be powerful all the time to understand this saber technique. 2 days ago, when Old Bai saw Han Fei use this kind of saber light for the first time, he was suddenly shocked. Because he found a kind of saber technique that didn't require any realm at all. Although Han Fei was full of nonsense, he was right about one thing. He didn't know why he integrated an invincible faith into his saber. It was reasonable to say that faith was just pure spiritual will, but this kind of power actually restrained the saber intent. Not only did it restrain the saber intent, but it also prevented the escape of spiritual energy, forming a mysterious thing on the saber light. Not only did the others not understand, but even Old Bai himself didn't understand it. He could only see this much, so he was more willing to believe that this was just something Han Fei accidentally made. So when Han Fei made this kind of saber light, Old Bai suggested that Han Fei could also use the million knife art to make this feeling. But so far, Han Fei had not succeeded. In Han Fei's words, he still needed the help of Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. 10 days later. There were still 3 days before Han Fei and the others went to another town to participate in the exchange competition. 3 days later, they had to go to a place called the Wind Thunder Town. At this time, in the back mountain, Zhang Xuanyu shouted excitedly, Come on, Ling Yuan. Dodge, use the sword rain, kill him, kill him. Lu Rinquang was next to him, stuffing dried fish into his mouth and shouting, Junior brother, quickly turn into grass, entangle him, don't let go. Ling Yuan, protect your body with spiritual energy and use the shield as a weapon. Fight with the shield. In the forest battlefield in the back mountain, Ling Yuan and Chu Jinan were evenly matched with Han Fei. This time, under the strong request of everyone, Han Fei was forced to suppress his strength to the realm of a junior great fishing master. It would be too much if he suppressed his strength to the realm of a junior great fishing master. Facing the joint suppression of 2 advanced great fishing masters, even if Han Fei's saber was very strong, his reaction was not as fast as theirs. Under his feet, there had already been a sea of seaweed. Han Fei didn't dodge. His body was entangled by seaweed and the small branch in his hand was grabbed by the seaweed. Ling Yuan was even more direct. She took out her saber and sword and slapped at Han Fei. Anyway, she couldn't kill Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu said excitedly, Ha ha ha. Fei, you're finally going to lose. Han Fei said angrily, Go away, I still have a unique skill. Xia Shaochan looked unconvinced. You've run out of tricks. Do you think Xiaonan and Ling Yuan are ordinary advanced great fishing masters? Han Fei was very annoyed at the moment. He had been entangled like this for almost half an hour. In the past, it was he who abused Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, but this time he was going to be abused by his junior brother and junior sister. Because his speed was too slow, he was suppressed everywhere. Even if he waved his saber, he found that he couldn't cut anyone and could only barely protect himself. No, I'm too slow. What should I do? How can I speed up when my realm is the same? Suddenly, Han Fei thought of something. Right, the void-breaking technique. The saber in Han Fei's hand flashed, broke the sea god grass, and waved the branch in his hand. Ling Yuan shouted, "Senior brother, just admit defeat. Your trick is useless." However, at the moment when Ling Yuan shouted, she saw a cold flash in front of her eyes, and Han Fei's saber had already appeared in front of her. Chu Jinan was dumbfounded. How is it possible? Xia Shaochan suddenly exclaimed, "Shadowless blade. Han Fei, how dare you steal my shadowless blade?" Second. Please vote, end of this chapter. Chapter 561. When Han Fei's knife light pierced through the void, everyone knew it was over. Xia Shaochan dragged Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang and said, "Don't try to run away. Pay up." Yes, under the strong persuasion of Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang, Han Fei suppressed his realm to that of a junior great fishing master. So the two of them gambled with Xia Shaochan and bet 10,000 mid-quality pearls. Zhang Xuanyu patted his thigh and sighed. "Nan, why didn't you stop Han Fei just now?" Lu Renkuang said with a sad face, "Ling Yuan, your armor technique is not good enough. Your attack is too weak. You should beat him, beat him." Chu Jinan was about to cry. "I've already used all my strength. The sea god grass has never been so powerful. I almost drowned Han Fei, okay? But his knife light is so powerful. Can you blame me?" Ling Yuan was also tossed to the ground and sat down. "No more, no more. Senior brother, you are bullying me. You stole senior sister Xiaochan's shadowless blade." Luo Xiaobai said, "No, it's not the shadowless blade. It's the 1,000-mile fishing technique." Of course, Luo Xiaobai didn't participate in their gamble. To be honest, she was very satisfied with Chu Jinan's performance just now. The sea god grass was used to the extreme, entangling, attacking, replicating, and paralyzing, which greatly limited Han Fei's movements. If it weren't for Han Fei's weird knife-drawing method at the end, Chu Jinan and the others would have almost won at this moment. Everyone was taken aback. The 1,000-mile fishing technique? Zhang Xuanyu said in astonishment, "No way. Although I haven't understood it yet, the 1,000-mile fishing technique used by dangling fishers seems to only be able to break a space point, right?" Lu Renkuang nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes, how can such a big knife light be the 1,000-mile fishing technique?" Xia Shaochan looked at Han Fei with bright eyes. "Is it really not the shadowless blade?" Han Fei lowered his head and his body trembled slightly. Zhang Xuanyu waved his hand and said, "Fei Fei, what's wrong with you?" Han Fei suddenly raised his head and laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha. Old Bai, old Bai." Then with a swish, Han Fei rushed to the school gate. Everyone's hearts stirred, and they hurriedly said, "Let's go and take a look." Old Bai was eating strawberries. Hearing Han Fei's shout, he couldn't help but sneer, his face full of disdain. Wen Ren Yu and Xiao Zhan were alarmed. At this moment, he flew into the sky and was looking at the door. Han Fei rushed to Old Bai and was still hundreds of meters away, but he suddenly roared and launched the sacrificing punch. The huge flame fist suddenly disappeared, but the next second, the fist mark had already appeared in front of Old Bai. Old Bai hurriedly clenched the sacrificing punch, and the recliner under his but had been crushed into pieces. However, his reaction speed was still extremely fast. The moment he touched the sacrificing punch, a defense array had already appeared. The formation time could be calculated in milliseconds. Crushing Han Fei's fist, Old Bai said with a dark face, "What are you doing? You broke the chair, did you see that? Hurry up and make me a new one that can swing." Han Fei didn't care at all. President, look, this is my latest skill. Isn't it very powerful?" With that said, Han Fei grabbed a small branch and slashed it a few times. As a result, a knife light appeared 100 meters away. When Han Fei slashed, Xia Shaochan flashed over, and when the knife light came out, she exclaimed, "It's not the shadowless blade, but it doesn't look like the 1,000-mile fishing technique either." Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan followed behind, only feeling that this senior brother was simply a devil. If he had played like this at the beginning, even if he had suppressed his strength by 2 small realms, they still wouldn't have been able to beat him. At this time, the two only felt that their lives were full of frustration. In the arena, they were the twin stars of the Thug Academy. In the school, they were like abused little animals, delicate and pitiful. Han Fei was very excited about his epiphany. He suddenly realized why couldn't knives, swords, and fists break through the air like fish hooks. So he tried it with the void-breaking technique. He wouldn't know if he didn't try, but he was shocked when he did. It could instantly make up for the disadvantage in speed when the sacrificing punch was condensed and restore 70% of Ren Tianfei's original combat ability. It was indeed gratifying. Xiao Zhan landed from the sky and looked at Han Fei for a while. Walking to the place where Han Fei's knife light had just swept, he was slightly surprised. Wenren Yu was slightly surprised. "Have you completely mastered the 1,000-mile fishing technique?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes. However, it was not that far. It used to be about 5 kilometers long, but it should be a little longer now." Old Bai snorted slightly and said, "This place is less than 30 kilometers away from the Bull Conch pit. Try hooking one." Han Fei didn't understand, but since Old Bai said so, Han Fei took out his fishing rod and tried it. However, as Han Fei waved the fishing hook, it fell 20 kilometers away and failed to catch the hexagon starfish. At this moment, the hexagon starfish was enjoying the Bull Conch's massage and didn't realize that someone was trying to seduce it. "Xiao Zhan, son of a bitch." Old Bai scoffed. "You're not. Forget it. Is this your luck again?" Han Fei was puzzled. "Huh? What luck? I'm just not very proficient now. When I'm proficient, I'll definitely catch it." But Old Bai shook his head and said, "I thought you had mastered the 1,000-mile fishing technique, but it turns out not. You just tore that point open." "Everyone," Old Bai said, "the ability you comprehended is not new, but it's a bit rare. The reason why it's not new is that the combat skill or ability you comprehended is called air-breaking strike. Under normal circumstances, as long as you become a hidden fisher, you will be able to master it." Han Fei's eyes lit up. "That's enough. Isn't it great that I know what a hidden fisher can do now?" Old Bai said lightly, "The combat skill itself is not special at all, but I don't know if your cultivation method is wrong, but you can actually open such a big space hole. This is the key. If the space hole is small, this combat skill is basically useless. But you open such a big hole, so the result is not bad." Lu Renquang scratched his belly and said, "What do you mean?" When Ren Yu explained, that is to say, the cultivation of the 1,000-mile fishing technique actually involves a little space power, which can make extremely small things such as fishing hooks and fishing lines break through the space, so that they can appear thousands of miles away. But think about it, if you replace the fishing hook with a fist, can you still break through the space? You can't, because the hole is so small that you can't stuff it in at all. With that said, Wenren Yu glanced at Han Fei. Han Fei is equivalent to stuffing his fist in, but this will inevitably cause the distance to be not far. This is why Han Fei tried to hook the hexagon starfish just now, but Han Fei failed. This shows that the longer the distance, the less effective he will be at using this ability. Xiao Zhan didn't care. Who cares? This combat skill is suitable for melee combat. Han Fei, try punching the sky. Let me see how far you can go. Han Fei seemed to understand a little. What Teacher Wenren meant was that the bigger the hole in the air, the shorter the distance would be. But although the distance was short, it was enough for melee combat. What was the advantage of the 1,000-mile fishing technique? It was 1,000 miles in an instant. If this was used in melee combat, it was equivalent to increasing the speed of punching. Han Fei punched again, but this time it was the golden fist mark of the art of invincibility. Han Fei exerted all his strength in this punch and finally appeared 800 meters away. Xiao Zhan said with joy, "Okay, okay. This distance is not short. Han Fei, good job." As soon as Xiao Zhan said that, before he came down from the sky, a dagger appeared in front of him, which really startled him. Puff! Immediately afterward, another dagger appeared 2,000 meters away. Xia Shaochan waved the dagger in her hand repeatedly. In the end, to everyone's astonishment, the dagger fell at a place about 2,400 meters away. Wow! Xiao Zhan, Wenrenyu, and Old Bai all took a breath. Wenrenyu immediately said excitedly, "Shaochan, how did you do it?" Xia Shaochan waved the dagger and said, "You just said it. I feel a bit like my shadowless blade. You said you integrated the 1,000-mile fishing technique into it, so I tried it. It's quite simple." Xia Shaochan was also very excited, thinking that Han Fei's idea was good. Old Bai put his hands behind his back. "I'll go to the field and dig up some vegetables for dinner." Xiao Zhan was silent for a while. "I'm going to get a bull conch to go with wine. Otherwise, it will be a disaster for that starfish." Xia Shaochan wondered, "Ms. Wenren, why can't I do it?" Wenren was speechless. "You are more talented than Han Fei. However, I'm afraid that Han Fei and Lu Rinquang are the most suitable for this combat skill." Lu Rinquang's body stiffened and he thought, what does it have to do with me? I haven't mastered the 1,000-mile fishing technique yet, so I can only hook a dozen meters away. I can't compete with these two freaks. Han Fei was full of curiosity. He used the void-breaking technique, but how did Xia Shaochan do it? Besides, she could cut more than 2,000 meters away with a single slash. Who the fuck can withstand that? It's a must-have sneak attack skill. Wenren didn't want to talk more with Han Fei and just said lightly, "Don't pursue these skills too much. Don't forget, what did you want to do in the beginning?" Han Fei, did you only plan to practice knives from the beginning? Han Fei shook his head. Wasn't it fun to practice knives? He said he was going to study arrays, but he forgot. As a result, Master Hexagon Starfish had been comfortable in the bull conch pit for almost a month. Wenren said, "However, you don't have time for the time being. Take a break for 2 days and prepare to go to the Wind Thunder Town for a vacation." To play a game. "Everyone," the author said, "I've thought about it. Let's see if I can add more chapters on the 24th and 25th. Now my speed is not slow. I've been playing games every day, so I need at least 2 days to integrate it. By the way, when I add more chapters, I'll ask for monthly votes." End of this chapter. Chapter 562. There were 36 towns under the 1,000-star city. Among them, the status of the Wind Thunder Town was the same as that of the Heavenly Heart Village in the Blue Sea Town. It ranked the top among all the towns and had the strongest comprehensive strength. This could be seen from one place, that was, the teleportation arrays. The Wind Thunder Town had teleportation arrays to the other 35 towns, but the other towns only had teleportation arrays to the Level 3 Fishery and the Wind Thunder Town. Even in the more developed towns, there were generally no more than 5 teleportation arrays. Xiao Zhan was introducing the towns to Han Fei and the others. Xiao Zhan said, "This time, our opponent is actually only the Wind Thunder Town, provided that you try not to use secret methods and ultra-quality spiritual weapons. If possible, don't use your spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts. Old Bai coughed. But you have to show the prestige of our Thug Academy. If it's necessary, it's not impossible to use it. It's up to you. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Okay. Xia Shaochan asked, are the other towns relatively weak? Xiao Zhan said, of course not. There might be powerful characters in every town, but that was only relative. For example, Li Hani. That kid is not bad. However, if he is in the 1,000-star city, he is actually much weaker. Even the cloud-soaring town, the weakest of the 36 towns, has produced heavenly talents. When he heard the name Cloud-Soaring Town, Han Fei suddenly realized that Lin Miao Miao was from the Cloud-Soaring Town. He thought that the Cloud-Soaring Town should be very strong. After all, when he arrived at the level 3 fishery, Lin Miao Miao seemed to have stayed there for a long time. Han Fei couldn't help asking, Teacher, you said that the Cloud-Soaring Town is the weakest of all the towns? Xiao Zhan nodded. Yes, the Cloud-Soaring Town has been lacking talents in the past 100 years. The main reason is that the position of the mayor of the Cloud-Soaring Town has been vacant for decades, so the Cloud-Soaring Town can't compete with other towns. Zhang Xuanyu said, if the mayor is gone, why don't we just find someone else to be the mayor? Old Bai slapped Zhang Xuanyu on the head. Do you think anyone can be the mayor? First, the mayor must be a hidden fisher. Second, he must be from the town to be the mayor. Third, those who can be the mayor must have come from the unknown place. Of course, he shouldn't be too strong either. Otherwise, he might disdain the position of mayor. Han Fei asked in surprise, isn't it said that you can't come back after you go to the unknown place? Old Bai was speechless. Do you really think they all died there? However, there would always be people who would fall. Either this person wasn't qualified, or the deadline wasn't up and he couldn't come back. Cloud-Soaring Town only had a new mayor in the past few decades, but he seems to be a cripple. Lu Rinquan glanced at Old Bai. President, we can't look down on the disabled. Pa! Old Bai said angrily, do I need you to teach me? There were still not many people on the teleportation island, but there were quite a few people outside the island who were sending them off. Most of them just hoped that the contestants would win. As long as they could win, the Blue Sea Town would have more resources and more popularity in the next year. Only a small number of people had a look of reluctance on their faces. Most of these people were the parents of students from the other 3 academies who were participating in the competition. They weren't worried about the result of the competition. What they were really worried about was that after this competition, in less than half a year, their children would go to a place they didn't know at all. The unknown place was a secret for most people. No matter how advanced the intelligence of the Blue Sea Town was, ordinary people had no right to know anything about the unknown place. Including the children of the big clans in the 1,000-star city, they actually didn't know anything about the unknown place before they went there. At most, they could only make a guess. But they didn't know anything about that place at all. When the Thug Academy arrived, the crowd burst into cheers. Han Fei, come on. Beat them. Xia Shaochan, show your usual violence. The rise of the Thug Academy is only one step away from you. Brother Yu, you must be the champion of the 36 towns this time. Goddess Luo, don't fall in love with other handsome boys outside. As representatives, Han Fei and the others fought for the interests of the town, so no one would be stingy with their praise and encouragement. However, as they shouted, the atmosphere changed. Han Fei said to the crowd, does anyone want to sponsor us? When we come back, we can bring you some specialties. The sponsorship starts at 1,000 mid-quality pearls. If you want them, go to the fish dragons and pay the money. Then you can choose from them. Old Bai and the others were taken aback. Is that okay? The people who saw them off were speechless. Is that okay? However, someone immediately shouted, then when you bring them back, we will buy them. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, when I bring them back, are you sure you can still get them? At that time, the gifts will be randomly distributed, and the prices will vary. Who knows, maybe your current investment will be worth it. 1,000 mid-quality pearls. I'll compromise again. Just 998 will do. You can't be fooled with 998. Hurry up and sign up. However, in the crowd, a large number of people rolled their eyes at Han Fei. Someone complained, he must be crazy about money. 998 mid-quality spiritual pearls, I can't afford it even if I invest all my wealth. Zhang Xuanyu said, Fei Fei. Maybe the price is a bit high. This is not the level 3 fishery. Han Fei was stunned. Really? I thought people were very rich now. But Han Fei shouted again, ha ha ha. I was just teasing you just now. In fact, don't give me 998, don't give me 888, just 98. You can't be fooled or suffer a loss. Sign up now and you can enjoy a mysterious gift. 100 low-quality spiritual weapons will be randomly distributed. For every 100,000 people who sign up, 100 low-quality spiritual weapons will be given away. What are you waiting for? Wow! Someone exclaimed, really? Fake? Someone didn't believe it. How can you give away spiritual weapons like this? Han Fei patted his chest and said, I, Han Fei, am honest. Where is the fish dragons? In the crowd, more than a dozen people came out at once. Yes, leader, we are here. Leader, we are at your command. Leader, please give us your orders. Han Fei said, remember to keep accounts and remember to advertise. You won't let me down, will you? I promise I will not fail you. As you command, leader. Seeing that Han Fei had made up his mind, someone sighed, 98 mid-quality pearls doesn't seem to be too much. We can give it a try. Someone nodded. It doesn't seem to be a loss. I can afford 98 mid-quality pearls. I wonder what he will bring back. By the way, is he going on a trip? Hey! Little brother of the fish dragons, come on, sign my name first. Someone had an idea. The registration hasn't started yet. If I'm the first, maybe I can get a low-quality spiritual weapon. No one thought that Han Fei was cheating. After all, the fish dragons were now a new big family in the Blue Sea town. Every day, there was an existence that entered the Golden Dipper. If it was only 100 low-quality spiritual weapons, the fish dragons could definitely afford it. The members of the fish dragons were suddenly overwhelmed by the crowd. Little brother, come on, I told you first. Sign up for me first. Brother, first come, first served. Don't compete with me. I'm number 1, so I'm the first one. Old Bai and the others were stunned. Lu Rinquang pulled Han Fei and said, is this okay? In the Blue Sea town, 100 low-quality spiritual weapons are definitely not cheap. They can easily cost hundreds of thousands of mid-quality pearls. Xia Shaochan bared her teeth and smiled. I have a lot here. More than 100. I have 1,000. Old Bai touched his beard. It seems that we can do it. Lu Rinquang was puzzled. Only 98 mid-quality spiritual fruits can be exchanged for spiritual weapons. Why don't we just sell them? Han Fei rolled his eyes at him. How many people in the town have you seen who will spend hundreds of thousands of mid-quality pearls to buy spiritual weapons? Our purpose is not to sell them directly, but to exchange those garbage low-quality spiritual weapons for money. Wow! Zhang Xuanyu took a breath. That's so cruel. Old Bai smacked his lips and thought to himself, if this kid goes to do business, he will definitely make a fortune. Han Fei asked, President, you are so strong. Why don't you make some money by selling some things? Why is our school so poor? Xiao Zhan smiled. You will understand in the future. Everyone, in front of the teleportation array, there were as many as 500 people, including those excellent children who went to gain experience. All the heavenly talents of the Blue Sea town were here. This exchange match was jointly led by the mayor and the 4 presidents. The mayor shouted, "Let's go." The team of 500 people lined up one after another and stepped into the teleportation array in order. Han Fei nudged Xiao Zhan and said, "Teacher, why don't Ms. Wenren, Chu Jinnan, and Ling Yuan go? Aren't they all bringing their disciples to satisfy their cravings?" A smile appeared on Xiao Zhan's lips. "They will go, but not now. In these 2 days, they have their own things to deal with. Let's go. It's time to take you to the so-called strongest town." First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 563. When Han Fei and the others arrived at the Wind Thunder Town, they appeared directly on a huge indoor teleportation square. Under their feet was a blue stone carved with fish grass patterns, and the surroundings were densely packed with people. The style of these people's clothes was a little different, but not much different. It didn't seem that there was anything particularly exotic about them. When Han Fei and the others appeared, they just attracted a strange look, but no one made any sound of surprise. Especially the last 5 people who appeared, because only Luo Xiaobai was a peak-level dangling fisher, they didn't arouse any curiosity. Because not all the students who came to participate in the exchange competition had practiced in the level 3 fishery, many people actually hadn't seen Han Fei. At this moment, Old Bai and the 3 presidents occupied an area of hundreds of meters on the square, and the 3 presidents were greeting the students who walked out of the teleportation array to follow the team. Han Fei and the others didn't follow the so-called formation at all. They walked through the crowd like leaders and came to Old Bai's side. On the square, there were shouts everywhere. These people were all wearing plain gauze clothes, and they were all peak-level dangling fishers, and they were all very young. Even a fool would know that the Wind Thunder Town had made sufficient preparations to welcome the arrival of the other towns. The gathering of peak-level dangling fishers was neither too grand nor too shabby, and it could also show the strength of the town. These youths all wore smiles on their faces, without the slightest hint of other emotions, as if they were very hospitable. Someone shouted, "Fiery Dragon Town, is the mayor of the Fiery Dragon Town here? Everyone from the Red Moon Town, please come with me. Million Gold Town, students, please gather quickly. The presidents of the Divine Billow Town, please restrain your students. Triumph Town, Sea Source Town," noises, questions, and calls to gather people rang out incessantly. Soon, a peak-level dangling fisher came to the Blue Sea Town. "Nice to meet you, Mayor of the Blue Sea Town." The mayor nodded slightly. "Okay. Where is my town arranged?" The newcomer straightened his back, clasped his fists, and said, "Sir, the Blue Sea Town has been arranged to stay in the Tree Core City Inn on the 8th island of the Wind Thunder Town. If the disciples of your town have gathered, please come with me." The mayor nodded slightly. "Okay. Let's go." Groups of phalanxes were led in all directions. The students were filled with curiosity and only wanted to rush outside to take a look. How extraordinary was the Wind Thunder Town, which ranked first among the 36 towns, exactly. Old Bai and Xiao Zhan naturally walked with the 3 presidents. The 5 of them followed closely behind, unlike the other students of the 3 academies who had lined up in a long line. Xia Xiaochan asked curiously, "Are there 8 islands in this town?" The peak-level dangling fisher said with a smile, "Our Wind Thunder Town consists of 9 floating islands. We are now on the central island." The other 8 islands were also quite unique. The Tree Core City you are going to is a floating island completely covered by a forest. It has a circumference of 196 miles, with high mountains and flowing rivers above and underground caves below. It can be said that the busiest place here is the Tree Core City. Hearing this person's explanation, Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Are the other 8 islands as big as this one?" The peak-level dangling fisher smiled and said, "No, the 8th island ranks 8th and is the smallest one. The first island is almost twice the size of the 8th island." Hiss. Han Fei couldn't help taking a breath. Isn't this too fucking big? Even if this was the first town, its area was too vast, much larger than the Blue Sea town. Han Fei once suspected that even the thousand-star city was probably only this big. But now it seemed that he was really ignorant. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Mayor, why don't the Blue Sea town capture a few floating islands?" The mayor staggered and thought to himself, "Are you fucking kidding me? Do you think I'm the sea god just because you say so?" The mayor looked back at Han Fei. "When you grow up in the future, you can capture an island and merge it with our town. Then our town will also be very big." Han Fei grinned. "What's wrong with me? I'm not the mayor." Old Bai said leisurely, "You're just a bunch of little fish that have never seen the world. This is not big at all. It's only 1,000 miles. Why are you so surprised?" The peak-level dangling fisher who led the way smiled. "I'll just listen to your bragging. A mere 1,000-li traversal. Why don't you try to capture one from the Blue Sea town?" Luo Xiaobai continued, "It's indeed not big. If it's expanded 10 times, it'll barely be qualified to become a city." The mayor and the 3 presidents all looked at Luo Xiaobai. This little girl's tone was simply too arrogant. "Have you ever been to the city? Do you know how big the city is?" With that, they walked out of this palace-like indoor teleportation square. As soon as they went out, they saw 3 huge mountains towering into the sky. The mountains were shrouded in clouds and mist, and they couldn't see the top at all. Someone from the 3 academies exclaimed, "What a high mountain! Wow, this mountain is so high! So spectacular!" The presidents of the 3 academies turned around and glared at them as if saying, "Don't be so fucking cowards. You're so shocked by a mountain. Are you ashamed?" The peak-level dangling fisher blushed, full of pride. He was very satisfied with the reaction of these students. Only Lu Renquang muttered, "What's the big deal? Our school has 2 mountains and we climb them every day." That's right, that's right." Xiao Zhan's face was a little red. "The mountain in our school is less than 2,000 meters high. This mountain is as high as 8,000 meters. The peak-level dangling fisher asked curiously, "Does your town also have mountains?" Han Fei patted the man on the shoulder and said, "You're too ignorant. You don't even know that our Blue Sea town has 2 divine mountains. Young man, you should learn geography well." The man? Everyone looked at Han Fei. Even the mayor looked at Han Fei, wondering, how can our town have divine mountains? Han Fei bragged, "It said that in ancient times, a sky-reaching king accidentally came to our Blue Sea town. He marveled at the beauty of our Blue Sea town and praised our Blue Sea and Yangtze River as pure as glass. He landed in the Blue Sea town. Every time he took a step, the scenery changed, which was marvelous. He cultivated in the plantation in our town, thirsty for morning dew and hungry for spiritual fruits. Looking up, the clouds and mist faintly formed peaks. He sighed. This town must have a mountain." So, 2,000-meter-tall golden-armored soldiers, carrying 2 mountains on their backs, came in the sky. They were named Tai Ah and Wang Wu. Thud. Some of the students from the other 3 academies felt their legs give way and fell to the ground. "Damn it, I've never seen anyone who can brag so much in my life." Li Hani turned his face away. Xiang Zuozua secretly spat. Only He Xiaoyu, who was at the back, said stupidly, "Is there such a legend in our Blue Sea town?" Xia Wushuang hurriedly raised a finger. "Hush!" Xiao Zhan and Old Bai were stunned. Damn it! How can those 2 small mountains be so bragging? The 3 presidents slightly moved aside, not wanting to walk with these idiots from the Thug Academy. The mayor opened his mouth and subconsciously quickened his pace. As for the peak-level dangling fisher from the Wind Thunder town, he was dumbfounded. He didn't feel that Han Fei was bragging at all. Look at the pride on Han Fei's face, it's almost as if it was carved with a knife. Zhang Xuanyu quickly echoed, "Fei Fei. What did the teacher teach us? When we go out, we must keep a low profile." Lu Renquang quickly added, Yes, to avoid being coveted by others. Xia Shaochan and Luo Xiaobai held hands and each took out 2 pieces of jewelry. Xia Shaochan asked, Xiaobai, what do you think of my bell? Luo Xiaobai nodded. It's exquisite. The peak-level dangling fisher asked, is it really so amazing? Han Fei quickly coughed and said, ahem. You didn't hear anything. I didn't say anything. My biggest problem is that I can't control my mouth. I'm too honest. Alas, brother, don't tell others. I won't tell ordinary people. The peak-level dangling fisher nodded. He couldn't help but wonder if there were any legends about the 3 mountains of his town. No, after sending them back, he had to check the information. Old Bai said, what are you waiting for? Hurry up. Are you here to chat? Han Fei nodded. Oh. The peak-level dangling fisher came back to his senses and quickly apologized, sorry, everyone, please follow me. We will fly the fishing boat from a kilometer away. Ha! Brother, can fishing boats be taken in your town? Second update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 564. The students of the other towns had already taken out their fishing boats and were quickly taking off. For a time, the sky was full of fishing boats. However, there were also thousands of fishing boats patrolling back and forth in the high sky. Han Fei perceived that there seemed to be threats above, and there were probably strong masters beyond the realm of dangling fishers. When they walked out of the teleportation hall and looked back, the building was like a huge oval pancake, a bit like a bird's nest. Of course, it wasn't that beautiful. But no matter what kind of building it was, as long as it was big enough, it was enough to scare people. Xiao Zhan said, there is a barrier within a kilometer of this place. The peak-level dangling fisher quickly said, yes, because there are a lot of people coming and going in our Wind Thunder town every day, we set up a barrier. It's mainly to avoid some dangerous people. The mayor and the principals looked back and said, you go ahead. We still have something to discuss. Remember, don't make trouble. When they were all gone, the peak-level dangling fisher said, everyone, you can take out your fishing boats and take off. Please follow me and slow down the fishing boats as much as possible. Don't go too fast. Lu Rinquang muttered, why do we have to slow down? Let's go. Is there any delicious food in your tree core city? The peak-level dangling fisher said, mainly in the town, we can't go too fast, or the sky will be full of streamers. This is very inconvenient for the patrol. Now, the teachers of the major academies were leading the teams here. There were only 6 people on Han Fei's team, so they only needed 1 fishing boat. The moment the Ghost Speed Divine boat was taken out, the peak-level dangling fisher almost peed his pants. He exclaimed, Ghost Speed Divine boat. Hearing the exclamation of the peak-level dangling fisher, many people looked at the boat. Some looked indifferent, some were surprised, and some were stunned. Suddenly, someone exclaimed, Han Fei, that's Han Fei. What? Where is Han Fei? Oh my god. That's Xia Shaochan. Damn, the Thug Academy, the 5 people of the Thug Academy are all here. Did they come back from the level 3 fishery? Originally, the crowd was quite noisy, so no one paid attention to them at all. However, the moment the Ghost Speed Divine boat appeared, many people's first thought was, isn't the Ghost Speed Divine boat exclusive to the children of the big clans in the Thousand Star City? Many people had actually been to the level 3 fishery, and only a few hadn't heard of the Ghost Speed Divine boat. But there were only a dozen Ghost Speed Divine boats in the level 3 fishery. It could be seen how much impact a Ghost Speed Divine boat had on these people. The people of the 3 academies of the Blue Sea Town, on the other hand, were not happy. They already knew about this matter. This time, a lot of people actually held the attitude of being bystanders. After all 5 members of the Thug Legend were here. Looking at the entire 36 towns, they didn't believe that there were few people comparable to them. Behind them, He Xiaoyu pulled Zhongyu, who was ranked in the top 10, and asked, "What is a ghost speed divine boat? Was it very powerful? Why does everyone look so surprised?" Zhongyu glanced at the ghost speed divine boat and sighed. "This is the best fishing boat in the level 3 fishery. It can travel up to 50,000 kilometers a day. You'll know when you go to the level 3 fishery." "How much?" Xia Wushuang was dumbfounded. A fishing boat that can travel 50,000 kilometers a day? Are they crazy? He Xiaoyu stuck out her tongue and looked at Han Fei's back on the ghost speed divine boat, feeling very stressed. Han Fei is getting stronger and stronger now. What should I do? In the sky. Everyone really felt what prosperity was. In their field of vision, there were large buildings, including towers towering 100 meters high, water storage towers with a diameter of 1,000 meters, super large open-air arenas, and spiritual beast-feeding gardens. If the dozens of kilometers around the Blue Sea Arena in the Blue Sea Town was the CBD center of the Blue Sea Town, then it was no exaggeration to say that the CBD of the Wind Thunder Town was 10 times larger. Because the flying height of the fishing boat was limited to less than 500 meters, everyone could only vaguely see that there were 8 floating islands standing around the central island. Some were higher than the central island, and some were lower than the central island. Suddenly, Han Fei saw a large bird in his field of vision, stretching its head and flying over their heads. Data appeared in his eyes. Name: Peace Loon. Introduction: a large bird that lives on the cliff. Its wingspan can reach 3 meters. It's extremely fast and flies between the ocean and the cliff. Its wings can break gold and stone, and its beak is as sharp as a spear. It can hunt ordinary marine creatures below level 30. Level 33 quality regular. It contains spiritual energy greater than 1,912 points. Edible effect: inedible collectible anon loon. Han Fei was stunned. He didn't expect that the first time he saw a bird here was in the Wind Thunder Town. But if there were birds in the Wind Thunder Town, why didn't there be any in the Blue Sea Town? Sure enough, many people exclaimed when they saw the Peace Loon in the sky. Look, what kind of creature is that? It can fly. Oh, sea god, is this a legendary creature? The patterns on its body are so beautiful. Is it a spiritual beast? The peak-level dangling fisher who led the crowd smiled and thought to himself, I like to see you guys acting like you've never seen the world. It's so comfortable. Xia Shaochan also grabbed Han Fei's arm and shouted, look, what kind of monster is that? It's not even a hidden fisher and seems to be weaker than us, but it can fly. Lu Rinquang exclaimed, wow, this kind of creature is amazing. I wonder if it's delicious. Puff! The fishing boat of the person in the front shook. What the hell are these people? You've been amazed for a long time and now you're asking if it's delicious. Han Fei said with a black face, shut up, you guys. That's just an ordinary bird. Huh? The person on the fishing boat in the front suddenly turned around. How do you know it's a bird? Xia Shaochan also looked at Han Fei in a daze. How do you know it's a bird? Xiao Zhan also looked at Han Fei curiously. How did he know about birds? Han Fei said, someone once told me about this kind of creature. According to the way this bird flies, it will stretch its head straight and lower than its body, which makes it look a little hunchbacked. Therefore, this kind of bird must be a loon. Of course, this is too esoteric for you. However, when it came to creatures like birds, even if there were only level 1 birds in this world, they could still fly even if they had no combat power. It's just like we humans have arms, fish have fins, and trees have branches. This is just a species difference. What's so surprising about it? Immediately, many girls from the 3 academies controlled their fishing boats and surrounded him. Han Fei, tell us about it. Why isn't there such a creature in our Blue Sea Town? Han Fei, tell us, what's the ability of this loon? Han Fei, who told you about it? Why didn't our teacher tell us about it? Han Fei looked disdainful. Sure enough, knowledge was power. He never thought that even a bird could attract so many exclamations. Suddenly, Han Fei felt a piercing killing intent. Xia Shaochan waved her dagger. If you don't want to fall from the sky, go away. Immediately, a girl said, Xia Shaochan, don't go too far. Are you going to interfere in this? Xia Shaochan stretched out her dagger. Are you leaving or not? Forced by Xia Shaochan's ferocity, the group of girls grunted and walked away. The boys from the 3 academies were speechless. Are they from the Thug Academy? When did you become so familiar with them? After they left, Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renkuang, and Xia Shaochan all grabbed Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Fei Fei, tell us, what is this bird? Xia Shaochan asked, what is a loon? Even Luo Xiaobai said, I know this kind of creature. In fact, there are many of them in the 1,000-star city, but I don't know much about their history and abilities. Xia Shaochan was shocked. Xiaobai, you know it too. Han Fei smiled and said, this is a kind of creature that should live in a cold area. It gets its name because it can dive, swim, and hunt. However, this kind of bird is very stupid. Its cry is unpleasant and it swings from side to side when it walks. However, the loons I know don't live on rocky cliffs and in such places. They should live near the water. With that said, Han Fei shouted, Brother, where did you get this loon? Seeing that he failed to scare Han Fei and the others, the peak-level dangling fisher in front of them could only shake his head lightly. You're embarrassing me. I can't tell you. Xiao Zhan sneered. Why can't I tell you? This kind of bird comes from the unknown place, but the one you saw just now is too weak. It's very likely that someone brought them back from the unknown place. Only after several or even dozens of times of reproduction could it be possible to cultivate such a good bird into such a weak one. Among the teachers of the other 3 academies, there were no hanging fishers at all. They had never been to the unknown place, so they could only shut up and quietly listen to Xiao Zhan. The boy in front of him smiled. Senior, you're awesome. Everyone was still amazed that they saw birds, but Han Fei was lost in thought. Birds exist in the unknown place. Also, from Xiao Zhan, Han Fei learned that the birds in the unknown place seemed to be very strong. So, Han Fei secretly asked, Teacher, our 1,000-star city has existed for so long. Birds should have long been all over the floating islands, but why can't we see any of them? Xiao Zhan looked at Han Fei with a faint smile. Tell me first, how do you know about birds? Han Fei raised his head and was thinking about how to make up a story, when he heard Xiao Zhan's voice transmission, if someone told you, you should have asked him long ago. If someone didn't tell you, how would you know? Han Fei rolled his eyes and replied, Old Jiang told me. There was one time when he was drunk and told me about it. When I asked him again, he didn't tell me. The 3rd chapter. Asking for votes. The author said, I'm paving the way to the world. Here comes the highlight, end of this chapter. Chapter 565. Xiao Zhan didn't ask much, and Han Fei didn't say much. However, Han Fei felt that there must be a reason why birds didn't appear on ordinary floating islands. It was as if no one in the town had ever used fishing nets. Was it true that no one had thought of making fishing nets? Not really. How could there be no fishing nets in a place that relied on fishing for a living? When the spirit forbidden net appeared, Han Fei knew that there was a net in this world. However, he didn't know why it didn't appear on ordinary floating islands. When the fishing boat passed the central island, everyone saw a vast forest. The trees there were abnormally tall. Even a random tree would require multiple people to surround it. It was at least tens of meters tall. The closer to the center, the taller the trees were. Han Fei could see that at the very center, there seemed to be a super tree more than 100 meters tall that was surrounded by all the stars around it. And between the 2 floating islands, there were many thick chains. Some people were still walking on them, looking up at the sky from time to time. When the fishing boat flew over the forest, Han Fei perceived that these trees had holes dug out everywhere, and people were living in them. And Han Fei also discovered an amazing thing. He didn't know how the branches of these trees grew, but many of them grew horizontally, turning into roads for people to come and go. However, when Han Fei and the others were perceiving with their spiritual senses, a fishing boat flew over from the sky. Someone looked at Han Fei and the others and said, "Distinguished guests from the Blue Sea Town, please don't perceive the lives of ordinary people with your spiritual senses. Although they can't perceive it, we can." Xiao Zhan nodded. "Okay, withdraw your spiritual senses." The peak-level dangling fisher in front of him was taken aback. Spiritual senses? They were more than 500 meters from the top of the tree. Besides, there was still a distance of tens of meters from the top of the tree to the living area. Could Han Fei and the others perceive it? Including the other people from the 3 academies, they were all astonished. What? Their perception range exceeds 500 meters? Some people widened their eyes and talked to each other via voice transmission. Someone said, "Do you think it's true? My perception range is only 5 meters, but their perception range is 500 meters? Someone was shocked. 500 meters, is this their limit? Why is their perception range so large? Even the great fishing masters who came to watch and learn were confused at this moment. Perception. What perception? The ordinary students of the 3 great academies still didn't know what perception was. Under normal circumstances, their teachers would only guide them when they became peak-level great fishing masters or even dangling fishers. When these students went to the level 3 fishery, it would be an important topic to explain and train. In fact, it was a waste of time. The real place to train perception was not even the level 3 fishery. But they were different. When they were still junior great fishing masters, they encountered the rock-holding turtle. When they were only intermediate dangling fishers, they had already mastered the perception ability. He kept eating the soul crystals of the level 3 fishery, so his perception range was naturally enormous. The peak-level dangling fisher leading the way thought to himself, the Thug Academy. The strength of these 5 people was probably unfathomable. There was only one peak-level dangling fisher, but their perception range actually exceeded his. Moreover, it wasn't just by a little bit. His current range of perception was only 300 meters. In the center of the 8th island, Tree Core City. Everyone's fishing boat landed, and the team of nearly 500 people was in a formidable formation. Behind them, there seemed to be students from other towns also flying over. After landing, everyone realized just how tall the tree was. Luo Xiaobai gave the answer immediately. It's 990 meters high and nearly 150 meters wide. The interior is almost hollowed out. The peak-level dangling fisher smiled. This kind of thing couldn't be hidden from an excellent manipulator. He didn't say anything but just politely extended his hand and said, "This is the best inn in the Tree Core City. Generally speaking, we will only arrange accommodation for merchants who come and go to the Wind Thunder Town, or for some people in other towns. For this match, the mayor has decided to vacate the Tree Core Inn and arrange accommodation for you." Han Fei and the others secretly praised him. What a good attitude. He continued, "Everybody from the Blue Sea Town, because the Blue Sea Town ranks high among the 36 towns, we've specially given you the 200-meter area at the top of the town to live. Of course, students above the dangling fisher level must live there. Great fishing masters can go sightseeing up there, but you can only live in the ordinary tree houses nearby." Xiao Zhan had no problem with that. Seeing that the presidents were not here, he said matter-of-factly, "The Thug Academy will take the top position." As for the teachers of the 3 academies, they were quite bummed. Xiao Zhan's level was too much higher than theirs. They couldn't fight for it. Besides, they were the top 5 in the Blue Sea Town, so it was only natural that they lived on the top. Let's go up. There were stairs in the tree houses, but who could climb 900 meters of stairs? Therefore, although it seemed that the Blue Sea town was given the best living environment, it was actually a test of everyone's strength. At this moment, many natives of the tree core city of the Wind Thunder town were watching. At this moment, it was absolutely impossible to climb the stairs. Xiao Zhan didn't even need to use his wings. He simply stepped on the air and flew up into the sky. Including the peak-level dangling fissure in front of him, many people gasped. A hidden fissure. Someone exclaimed, the Blue Sea town really deserves to be the 12th town. The leader is actually a hidden fissure. He's strong enough to be the mayor, isn't he? Immediately afterward, Luo Xiaobai pointed her finger, and 5 vines hung down from the top of the tree. They grabbed the vines, only to see that the vines retracted automatically and went up like taking an elevator. The peak-level dangling fissure was a little disappointed that he couldn't see other people's abilities. However, the manipulator of the other party was very strong. He could summon vines without feeling any spiritual energy fluctuations at all. He was not weak. Behind him, other people also jumped up. Anyway, there were many tree trunks, so it wouldn't be indecent to jump up. Some manipulators followed Luo Xiaobai and took the elevator up. Unfortunately, their control range was not so far and they could only reach half the height of the tree. Some went up with the wind-riding combat technique. Some asked others to throw them up, and some controlled weapons to send them up. The peak-level dangling fissure went up the same way as Luo Xiaobai, by grabbing the vines. There seemed to be manipulators on the top, so he didn't expose his strength at all. When they went up to the top, Luo Xiaobai and the others were already in the house. This place was fully equipped, and as far as the eye could see, it was full of natural decorations. There was a fish grass pattern on the door, the window was half-hollowed, and the interior decoration was mainly arc-shaped. The bed was round, which was exactly like a fucking themed suite. The 5 of them occupied the second floor from top to bottom. The problem was that there were only 5 of them and they couldn't live in such a large place at all. How could there only be 5 rooms in a space of nearly 18,000 square meters? Even a presidential suite shouldn't be so big. Han Fei couldn't help asking, brother, this place is too big. If we can't live in it, can we let others live in it? The peak-level dangling fissure smiled and said, as long as you are willing, of course you can. However, during the exchange competition, this place is up to you. Xia Shaochan asked, then why did you just say that the great fishing masters wouldn't let you come up? The man smiled and said, that's to reserve more living space for you so that you can have the best experience. But if you have a place for a great fishing master, it's also possible. Suddenly, the man found that the other people of the Blue Sea town all ran down to the first floor. He couldn't help but be taken aback. Guys, the 5 of you are not with them. Han Fei smiled and said, of course not. We are not from the same academy. Of course not. The man was stunned. Wait, there are only 5 people in your school. The man was also stunned. Are you fucking kidding me? Other people come in hundreds of people, but you only have 5 people? Han Fei put his arm around the man's neck and said, brother, it's none of your business how we live. Do you have any local specialties here? The cheap kind. 1 mid-quality pearl for 1. That would be the best. Well, why don't you go shopping first? There are quite a lot of places to sell things, all on the ground. If you can't find them, we have arranged 20 guides under the tree to show you around. Lu Renquang immediately said, why didn't you say so earlier? Fei, let's go down and have a look. Zhang Xuanyu said, let's go. I've been wanting to go down for a long time. It's boring to live in a tree house every day. Luo Xiaobai also nodded and said, the environment here is very good. I also want to take a look. Han Fei immediately grinned and patted the man on the shoulder. Brother, see you later. We'll go for a walk first. Go and greet the others. With that, the 5 of them jumped down from the tree with a swish, like playful fish. The peak-level dangling fissure didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They didn't look like experts at all. Before the 5 of them landed, they found that many people gathered under the tree and seemed to be arguing. Someone shouted, "Who occupied your house in the cloud-soaring town? Anyway, you can't live on the next floor. What's wrong with us putting a few people in? Besides, your cloud-soaring town ranks last among the 36 towns. You shouldn't be living here in the first place." A woman in her 20s was suppressing her anger and arguing, "This is arranged by the mayor of the Wind Thunder Town. Are you questioning the mayor's arrangement?" Chapter 566. The teacher from Lingyun Town seemed to have a weak aura. Although she was also an advanced dangling fisher, her teacher was a peak-level dangling fisher. Besides, there were less than 100 dangling fishers in the cloud-soaring town, but nearly 300 great fishing masters had come. Seeing this scene, Han Fei already understood. The cloud-soaring town was weak, so it sent so many great fishing masters here just to let them learn from others by watching the battle. While still flying in the sky, Han Fei suddenly pushed Lu Renquang aside. "Lu Renquang." Below, the two sides were still arguing. Suddenly, they looked up. A peak-level dangling fisher teacher hurriedly stepped aside. "Is this guy trying to kill me?" Bang! Lu Renquang landed and said innocently, "Fei Fei, why did you push me?" Han Fei asked, "Did I?" Lu Renquang was speechless. "Don't you know whether I pushed you or not?" Before Lu Renquang spoke, the teacher shouted, "Whose student is this? Don't you see there are people down there?" Han Fei put his arm around Lu Renquang's shoulder, glanced at the teacher, and then looked at the people of the Wind Thunder Town who led the way. "Which town is this? Why are your words so harsh?" The guide couldn't help but be slightly stunned, thinking, "Is this deliberate?" However, they were only guides. If the conditions allowed, they were more willing to see conflicts between towns. If they could fight, that would be the best. When it was time to stop them, they would stop them. That way, it would be easier to see the strength of these towns. Another reason was that Cloud-Soaring Town was too weak and ranked at the bottom of the list. The people of the Wind Thunder Town despised them deep down. Before the guide could speak, the teacher said, "I'm a teacher from Fiery Dragon Town's First Academy." "Where is your teacher? Let him come out and speak. I want to see whose student is so arrogant." Puchi. Xia Shaochan couldn't help but laugh. "You sure talk big." Although Zhang Xuanyu didn't know why Han Fei interfered, he had to take care of it himself. Immediately, he curled up the corners of his mouth and said, "You? A peak-level dangling fisher is standing opposite my teacher? I'm afraid he wouldn't even dare to fart." Han Fei said with a smile, "Tisk, tsk, did you hear that? Incisive." Lu Renquang also said frankly, "You're too weak. You can't do it." As for the people from the Cloud-Soaring Town, they didn't know what to say. The female teacher even thought that they didn't do it on purpose and just got involved accidentally. On the other hand, the students from Cloud-Soaring Town expressed their relief. "Humph. The Flame Dragon Town's ranking isn't that high. Why are you so arrogant?" "That's right, they're going too far. What right do they have to occupy our room? It's too much to let a great fishing master live on the same floor as us dangling fishers. Doesn't the Wind Thunder Town care about this?" The guide from the Wind Thunder Town said, "Of course we will. However, there might be more rooms in Gui Town. Logically speaking, we can't completely reject the Fiery Dragon Town's request. We've already sent someone to inquire about it." The guide of the Wind Thunder Town said sincerely with a gentle expression. No one would be able to find fault in his words. The guide said, "Ms. Ling Ling, do you want to wait for a while?" The guide from the Fiery Dragon Town also said, "Master Xue Nan, please don't ruin our friendship. Everyone here is a guest. Why don't we wait for a while?" Han Fei frowned. "Why should I wait?" As a mayor, his words were like water that had been released and couldn't be taken back. If he said he would give the cloud-soaring town a large place to live, he wouldn't give them any discount. What kind of guide was this? He was just stalling for time. Did they want to continue to cause a fight? Han Fei smiled. Phew. It seems that the mayor of the Wind Thunder Town doesn't mean anything. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Logically speaking, the Fiery Dragon Town shouldn't occupy the rooms of the Cloud-Soaring Town. Shui Nan from the Fiery Dragon Town sneered. We won't know until later. However, I don't care about this matter now. But you little fish, which town are you from? Han Fei sneered. The Blue Sea Town. What do you think? Immediately, a student from the Fiery Dragon Town sneered. The Blue Sea Town ranks 12th. Are you so arrogant? Although our Fiery Dragon Town only ranks 18th, we're better than you, right? Exactly. Among the 5 of them, only one is a peak-level dangling fisher, and the other 4 are advanced dangling fishers. Is this the big town that ranks 12th? Someone sneered. Who knows, after this exchange competition, he might drop to 22nd place. Ha ha ha, students were the most impulsive creatures. They were in the prime of their youth and usually didn't care about right or wrong in order to protect their own interests and reputation. As long as they were not from their own school, they would usually regard them as enemies. Xia Xiaochan was hot-tempered, and she was born with this kind of temper. She even stabbed Han Fei. How could she be an exception to these people? Swish. Huh, ah. In a flash, Xia Xiaochan appeared among the opposing team of students and stabbed 2 people. Before the other party realized what was going on, she had flashed back. Shui Nan was shocked. Bastard! How dare you lay a finger on a student of the Fiery Dragon Town? As he spoke, Shui Nan had already grabbed Xia Xiaochan despite the dissuasion of the guide of the Wind Thunder Town. Bam! A golden fist mark flashed by and blew Shui Nan dozens of meters away. After he steadied himself in embarrassment, Shui Nan was shocked. Was it the young man who attacked just now? How could an advanced dangling fisher be so strong? The guides of the Wind Thunder Town who were going to dissuade him all shut up after seeing this scene. At this moment, they were staring at Han Fei with bright eyes. The punch just now was too fast. They saw a golden flash, and the leading teacher of the Fiery Dragon Town was sent flying. Are you telling me that this is the strength of an advanced dangling fisher? Han Fei sneered. Now, do you think the Blue Sea Town is qualified? In front of the Fiery Dragon Town's team, several other teachers stood out. Someone scolded, "Boy, how dare you," someone said angrily, "The Blue Sea Town is really arrogant." Ling Ling from the Cloud-Soaring Town slightly changed her face, shocked by Han Fei's strength, but then she said telepathically, "Student, the people of the Fiery Dragon Town are all warriors. Be careful." Han Fei smiled and tilted his head to look at the people of the Fiery Dragon Town. As a teacher, you should act like a teacher. Do you think it's reasonable for you to bully a friendly town? Shui Nan rose, shook his arms, and looked at Han Fei coldly. As the leading teacher, he was the leader of the team when the mayor and the principal were not here. Now that they had lost face, they couldn't let it go. The reason why they had a dispute with the Cloud-Soaring Town was just a matter of face. Immediately, the man bellowed, and the illusion of a long-necked turtle suddenly burst out. Spirit Turtle Water Shocking Palm. Han Fei was instantly amused. He found it hilarious that the people of the Fiery Dragon Town thought that they had performed an awesome combat skill. Han Fei only felt that the people of the Fiery Dragon Town were really reckless. Han Fei immediately took out a twig and waved it casually, and a knife light swept straight at the big black palm. Look at my turtle-suppressing demon knife. Xia Xiaochan and the others. Lu Rinquang tilted his head and glanced at Han Fei. What knife? Puchi. The big palm was cut apart by Han Fei's knife. The knife continued moving forward. At this moment, Shui Nan finally realized Han Fei's power. Horrified, he hurriedly protected himself with the black turtle shield. Clang Xuanan fell to the ground on his back. Although he was not injured, one of his hands was already stiff and slightly trembling. Hiss. The hundreds of students watching all looked surprised. Isn't this too fucking awesome? Many students of the Fiery Dragon Town were dumbfounded. Is this really a student of the Blue Sea Town? Isn't he a bit too strong? Especially on the Cloud-Soaring Town's side, many people were dumbfounded. This is a peak-level dangling fisher. He can't even resist one attack from a student of the Blue Sea Town. Isn't this a bit too scary? Many people had looks of envy in their eyes. How great would it be if they were so strong? Ling Ling's pupils constricted. Is the Blue Sea Town already so strong? It shouldn't be. With such strength, even in the Wind Thunder Town, he must be an expert. The two guides of the Wind Thunder Town looked at each other with surprise in their eyes. They had thought that the students of the Blue Sea Town could only be regarded as mediocre. But Han Fei had refreshed their cognition. He could fight someone of a higher level with just one attack. What kind of monster was he? At this moment, the guide of the Blue Sea Town seemed to find that there was a dispute down below. At this moment, he was coming down from the tree, and he almost fell off the tree after seeing this scene. So strong. What's going on? After the guide of the Blue Sea Town came down, he asked the other two with a cold face. Nice to meet you, senior brother Pan Yi. After receiving the two's voice transmissions, Pan Yi's face changed slightly, and then he turned to Ling Ling and said, I'm sorry, everyone. My junior brother has just graduated from school and doesn't know how to judge many things. Please excuse me. Ling Ling finally looked better and said with a smile, I have to thank the students of the Blue Sea Town for their help. Otherwise, I'm afraid things would have gotten out of hand. Pan Yi nodded and then looked at Xuanan. Mr. Xue, the mayor has already set the living standards. Please abide by them. Otherwise, if things get out of hand, it will be embarrassing for everyone. Xuanan glared at Han Fei and then shouted to the people of the Fiery Dragon Town, let's go. Second update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 567. After everybody from the Fiery Dragon Town entered the inn, Ling Ling walked to Han Fei. Thank you for your help, fellow student. Han Fei grinned and said, you're welcome. I'll help when I need to. That's how helpful I am. Well, Ling Ling's lips twitched. This guy seems to be rather shameless. Immediately, the students from the Cloud-Soaring Town gathered around him. A girl asked, hey, what's your name? Hey, why did you help us? Did you fall in love with a girl from the Cloud-Soaring Town? Hey, the Cloud-Soaring Town is full of beauties. Hey, Han Fei suddenly felt that something was wrong. Why did his waist hurt? Han Fei chuckled. Don't ask me why. Just call me. As he spoke, Han Fei grimaced and said, well, I have something else to do. I'm leaving. Bye, everyone. Han Fei slipped away, looking back as he ran. Xia Xiaochan, let's talk this out. Zhang Xuanyu covered his head and leaned closer to Luo Xiaobai. I'm so jealous. Luo Xiaobai shouted, get lost. Lu Renquang chased after him and shouted, Han Fei, wait for me. Should we go and have some local specialties first? I see a gourmet shop. The Tree Core City was called the Tree Core City because everybody lived in the trees. The range of 10 meters to 30 meters from the ground was full of shops selling all kinds of things. For example, within 10 kilometers of the central tree where Han Fei and the others were, all kinds of special products were available. There were shops selling shrimp dumplings, fish balls, steamed seafood, clothes, weapons, fishing rods, and daily necessities. It could be said that all the resources that people needed in life were here. Lu Renquang's goal was to eat. He crawled into the tree holes and grabbed dozens of skewers of fish balls and shrimp dumplings. As a result, the 5 of them really became out-and-out tourists who just ate, drank, and wandered around. Luo Xiaobai suddenly asked, Han Fei, why do we need so much money? Han Fei smiled and remembered the information that even spiritual stones had become a currency in the unknown place. He immediately said, because we will definitely need a lot of money in the future. I hate that Martial Uncle Faceless robbed us of 5 billion. Otherwise, why would I be in this state? Xia Shaochan said, I'll sell all the 1,000 low-quality spiritual weapons here. According to the price of 100,000 per weapon, that's only 100 million. Adding up all the other miscellaneous stuff, I'm afraid it's worth another 100 million. Adding up to 200 million. The ordinary people in the Blue Sea town can't afford that, can they? Han Fei smacked his lips and said, that's right. I definitely can't eat it. A 1 in 1,000 chance of drawing a low-grade spirit artifact could only attract a small portion of people. But that's still money. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Han Fei, don't you still have money? I don't have much either. Less than 500 million. I'm running out of money. Immediately, everyone was speechless. Less than 500 million, and you're telling us that we're running out of money? How much fucking money do you need to have to be considered rich? Suddenly, Han Fei saw a rather delicate tree hole, on which the words Fine Carving Accessories Shop were carved. Han Fei's eyes lit up. Let's go. We've found a specialty. In the Blue Sea town, Han Fei saw more people. Some people would come here with fish bones hanging around their necks. But fine carvings couldn't be found anywhere except in the Linglong Tower. At this moment, the 5 of them stood in someone else's fine carving accessories shop, feeling that there were a lot of novel things. Xia Xiaochan's eyes immediately lit up. Wow! Luo Xiaobai was also overjoyed. No matter how cold a goddess was, she couldn't resist the temptation of jewelry. Basically, all the jewelry they could think of could be found here. The main categories included bracelets, rings, earrings, necklaces, belts, pendants, hairpins, ornaments. Subdivided, the types of jewelry were also divided into bone, gold and stone, rattan and grass. Then, there were 2 categories, men and women. Before the shop owner came over to introduce them, Xia Shaochan and Luo Xiaobai murmured and were dazzled. The 2 of them compared various kinds of jewelry from time to time and put them on. Not to mention the women, even Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help but start to choose. Only Lu Renquang, holding a fish ball in one hand, looked at Han Fei. It doesn't look cheap. Han Fei grinned and said, but it can't be expensive. A proprietress in her 30s walked over while twisting her waist. Hey! Are you a distinguished guest from another town? Han Fei grinned and said, Proprietress, how much are the accessories in your shop? The proprietress said with a smile, Classmate, you can't tell me the price until you choose one. However, the accessories here are very cheap. You can't find an accessory shop cheaper than mine in the entire Tree Core City. After that, the proprietress went to Xia Shaochan and Luo Xiaobai. In her opinion, men who entered an accessory shop had no spending power at all. Only women, as long as they came in, would never leave empty-handed. In less than 2 minutes, the 3 women giggled on the side. Even Luo Xiaobai didn't stop smiling. The proprietress kept praising them. Wow, my 2 little beauties. With this earring, even fairies can't compare to you. Hey! Girl, this necklace, together with your vibe, makes you look even more valiant. If you stand in the arena, your enemies won't dare to move. Girl, this is a set of rings. It's unique in the entire Tree Core City. It's a perfect gift for young men. And this is a deep blue necklace decorated with deep blue sapphires. You'll look so wonderful when you wear it. All men will be fascinated by it. Come on, girl, I'll put it on for you. Don't take it off, Han Fei, Lu Renquang, Zhang Xuanyu shouted, Fei, Fei. Look at my leather bracelets. What do you think? Han Fei looked back, only to find that Zhang Xuanyu was wearing more than 30 bone bracelets and leather bracelets. Han Fei roared angrily, fuck you, put it back. Zhang Xuanyu. Han Fei said angrily, Xia Xiaochan, Luo Xiaobai, put them down. The proprietress certainly couldn't stand it. She immediately yelled, young man, you can't talk to girls like that. Do you want to find a girlfriend or not? A woman's beauty needs to be expressed and appreciated. Look at you, you're still single, aren't you? Come on, let me tidy you up. I guarantee that a girl will fall in love with you the moment you leave the house. Han Fei, gloomily, Han Fei blocked the proprietress and shouted, don't talk. I'll take all your things. The proprietress paused for a moment, but then she realized what he meant. Young man, you're still young. Don't brag. Han Fei sneered and picked up a bracelet. Look at this. It's made of the bones of green turtles, isn't it? Han Fei picked up another necklace. This is a gem from the mines of ordinary fisheries, isn't it? This is a bracelet made of the shell of an armored turtle, isn't it? How many bracelets can an armored turtle make? This is a hairpin made of the stinger of a purple-tailed scorpion, isn't it? How much is it worth? And this pendant, is it carved from the water spirit wood? It's just a common wood from the bottom of the sea in the level 1 fishery. The proprietress quickly said, it's rare, it's rare. Han Fei waved his hand and said, anyway, what I've seen so far are all made of the materials from the ordinary fisheries and the level 1 and level 2 fisheries. Tell me, how expensive can it be? Han Fei pointed at the price of a belt and said, is this thing worth 200 mid-quality pearls? The proprietress quickly said, craftsmanship. Young man, you don't understand this. I'm selling craftsmanship here. Look at the ornaments here. They're beautiful. Han Fei tilted his head and said, don't talk nonsense to me. Let me ask you, I've booked all the shops. How much is the discount? A blue sea wandering dragon dagger suddenly appeared in Han Fei's hand, an ultra-quality battle suit appeared on his body, and he held the water-dividing seal in his left hand. Han Fei smiled faintly. I have plenty of money, but I'm not a fool. Proprietress, I'm talking business with you now. Maybe this is the only chance for you to make a fortune in your life. Hiss. The proprietress was slightly surprised. Are they all ultra-quality spiritual weapons? So, the proprietress was here. The proprietress immediately beamed and said, young man, from the moment you entered the door, I already felt that you were dignified and extraordinary. 30% off, 30% off. Lu Renquang was dumbfounded. Why is it 30% off? Isn't this a bit too much? The proprietress gritted her teeth and said, 30% off is already my bottom line. My shop has 3 floors and there are tens of thousands of ornaments in total. 30% off. I don't have any profit left. However, Han Fei raised his head and said, I want 1,000,000 pieces. What's your discount? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.